we're on record for what's been scheduled as the initial disposition as it relates to Dustin King. We've had a sidebar and lean on the patience of our participants today to discuss CTAC recommendation that came in this morning and how to proceed as it relates to that. And I think we have a plan around that as well, but I'll let the attorneys address that after appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer regarding ad litem for the minor children.
Ms. Sasha Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Beach.
Ashley Beach. I'm the foster care supervisor assigned to the case, and I'm filling in for caseworker Francesca Madrid this morning.
Michael Brooks, I'm the attorney for Mr. King. Mr. King.
Dustin King.
Michael McFarland, not scheduled for today, but because my client, Ms. Miller, is present, I am here. Ms. Miller, please identify yourself.
The mother.
Okay, that's Kirsten Miller. She is logged in. All right, comments on the sidebar beginning with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. One concern we had was obviously the late production of the CTAC for the oldest child. There is a non-respondent mother in that case, but there are some concerns about that child. And so we wanted to bring that to the court's attention and let everyone else know, given the fact that that CTAC was just circulated today. And then secondly, there were some concerns about parenting time that have, based on a prior order as it relates to Ms. Miller, in discussing whether we were noticed for anything relating to her at all today or not, and then trying to figure out if we can schedule something on that matter. And I think that that's it from my recollection.
Comments, Mr. Brooks, on the sidebar?
No, I have no comments.
Mr. McFarland?
Your Honor, there's a question regarding a parenting time hearing if my client would waive 7-day notice, and I did have a discussion with her, and we are willing to waive that on the record.
Thank you. So that would put us scheduling a hearing on parenting time for Monday at 2:30 p.m. Comments, Ms. Underwood?
I have no additional comments.
Do you find that to be in the interest of the children?
I do.
Very well. We'll schedule a hearing on parenting time to consider the CTAC evaluation and some of the issues that have been arising on parenting time after the end of the week, so that the parents and the attorneys have time to look through the CTAC evaluation and prepare for that presentation.
Your Honor, and just to be clear on that point, the CTAC evaluation we have for today is not related to Ms. Miller at all. That is solely for Mr. King and then his oldest child.
Okay. Does it affect the conversation around his parenting time?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks, did you get a copy of the CTAC evaluation?
No.
Okay.
I'm told by my secretary that it appeared on her computer screen at 9 o'clock this morning. By then I was on my way here.
Talking 95-page report.
Do you think an hour would give us enough time to go through parenting time for both sets of parents, Ms. Thomas, or should we set up 2 separate days for those conversations? Because the CTAC evaluation obviously is extraordinarily relevant. I haven't had a chance to read it either, honestly.
Your Honor, I believe that an hour is sufficient. We do not. And part of the issue with the parenting time with Ms. Miller is that we don't have any assessments back for her yet. I know that the family is in the process of completing those. And given the history of how parenting time has gone and how the children have struggled to adjust back in their foster homes, it's more the concern. I believe the court intended for its order to, I guess, circumvent having to have another parenting time hearing until the next review. Unfortunately, the way that it's being interpreted by the powers that be is not sufficient at this time.
Okay. So, Mr. Brooks, would you be joining us then on Monday for a conversation about your client's parenting time in light of the CTAC recommendation as well?
Yes.
All right. Your
Can I have
client,
the date and time again, please?
that's Monday at 2:30.
The date?
The 10th. Thank you, Ms. Reed. Monday, February 10th at 2:30.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear this.
Monday, February 10th at 2:30. For the next regular review, while you're writing dates down, I'm looking at April 15th at 2:30 as well. Tuesday, April 15th at 2:30.
That's a review.
Yes.
Your Honor, I believe there was a hearing or review hearing set already for Ms. Miller in March.
That's
You- okay.
10th, I think, if I recall.
So that's a question too that I wanted to put to the attorneys. Do you want to keep them separate or do you want to have them together?
I have no position on that.
No position, Your Honor.
I don't have a position either, Your Honor. I think that, there's no longer a PPO in place, so I don't think we have anything really prohibiting them from contact other than our orders. And if the court is fine with enjoying them for docket control, I think it's an efficient way to use our resources.
Okay, I'll think about it while I listen to the testimony for today. There's a lot going on in this case, and my inclination would be to keep them separate actually, but I'll think about it. Okay, Ms. Underwood, I'm ready for your report whenever you're ready.
Yes, Your Honor, I did report on the younger minor children during the bench trial. I haven't met with them since it was just recently. However, I have been in contact with the family, the foster placement. The children are doing very well overall. The younger 3 children are doing very well overall. They are acclimating to living in a more traditional home. They are learning how to eat with utensils and working on potty training and just having a schedule that helps with consistency and stability. They seem to be very bonded with the placement and thriving. There were the oldest of the younger 3 that's living in that placement is doing well, or he's struggling in school, but the placement's working with the school to figure out what additional services and supports he may need there. Early on has been scheduled. And so again, everything that needs to be happening with the younger kids in order to get them the support that they need is in place. The children are in the least restrictive and the safest and most appropriate placement, continuing to be with the relative placement. The oldest child, I did meet with him. We FaceTimed today and we've been in regular contact as he has a phone. So he knows he's free to contact me if he ever needs anything, but he seems to be doing okay. There are concerns that he's still not enrolled in school. That's a major concern for me. I think that it's important that the non-respondent mom get him enrolled immediately. But he seems to be doing okay over there still. There was a struggling period, adjustment period, acclimating back to, again, a more traditional household. And there are some significant needs that I think are going to need to be addressed with him. But for now, I believe his placement is appropriate. However, there needs to be some more contact and cooperation with his mom in order to ensure that all of his needs are being met.
Thank you. Witness testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll ask Ms. Beach to be sworn in. Good morning, Ms. Beach. The court has a report in front of it that includes an initial court report for Mr. King, the case service plan for Mr. King, and then some ICWA documentation. Are there any other documents that you're aware of that have been circulated since you've submitted this court report?
Yes, Francesca and I just received the trauma assessment for the oldest child, Junior, yesterday afternoon. So we circulated that this morning.
And are you aware of the ICWA documents that you have attached to this court report are different than the ones that have been provided to the court prior in a previous time?
Yes, the ones that were submitted with the last set of documents were historical ICWA documents and responses. We resent the ones that were submitted this time, so we could have current ICWA documentation and responses.
Okay. Are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to your the documents that you've provided?
Not to my knowledge.
And at this time, as relates to Mr. King, what is the permanency goal for his children?
Reunification.
And what are the current barriers to reunification?
Our primary concern as it relates to Mr. King is emotional instability, inappropriate housing, and relationship stability.
Okay. And has he done any voluntary services to start addressing those barriers to reunification?
Yes, he participated in a psychological evaluation on January 24th. We have not received the results yet, but I did meet with that psychologist briefly following his evaluation that day. It was at our office, and he did say he was going to recommend a psychiatric evaluation. And then Mr. King has reported that he is in counseling, although he then has reported that he's not when he participated in the bonding assessment for his oldest child. So we are going to work on getting a release of information to see if he is engaged in therapy. And then he did participate in a bonding assessment with the 2 older children of the 4.
And are there any other referrals that the agency has made that you have not addressed in your court report or on the record today?
Not yet. We are waiting to get the results of the trauma assessment, psychological evaluations back before we make any further referrals.
And as it relates, I know that we'll be back for parenting time, but as it relates to parenting time, is there any recommendation that you would like the court to consider for today?
So parenting time for Mr. King has been suspended since December 20th based on concerns regarding his parenting or his behavior during parenting time visits and then the children's behavior following parenting time visits. We are really hoping to gain some insight on how to structure parenting time from the children's trauma assessments in order to best support the children and meet their needs during visits, because visits that have happened have been observed to be pretty chaotic, and the children, specifically the oldest of the 3 younger ones, struggle behaviorally during visits. So we just want to make sure that we are structuring parenting time in a way that is safe and supportive to the children. So we would ask that it continue to be suspended until we get results of evaluations back so we can implement recommendations that are made about parenting time.
Okay. And the case service plan, as it is proposed, do you believe that that is sufficient to address the barriers to reunification and the risks of harm posed to the children?
I do. And if we need to edit or add once we receive the psychological evaluation, we can always meet with Mr. King to do so.
And did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. King to develop this case service plan?
We have, Francesca and I, Ms. Madrid and I met with Mr. King via Zoom for a family team meeting. I have the date in front of me, but we discussed all of the services that were going to be recommended for him. So yes.
Okay. And did he have any feedback if he needed any additional services?
He did not.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. King, I'm going to ask you to be cognizant of your disruptive behavior, please. For the first time. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions for Ms. Beach. I know that there's outstanding ICWA documentation that's been provided to the court. So I would ask the court to accept the court report with the current ICWA documentation and in addition to the historical ICWA documentation. With that being said, Your Honor, I also believe this is a situation where like a chart would be beneficial and would anticipate providing that to the court at our next review hearing.
Thank you. I'll look forward to the chart. We'll just say for the record, the only ICWA document I have for today is a single page that appears to have a copy of 3 green cards indicating that 3 different tribes have received an inquiry. So, and I don't remember off the top of my head if we received the current inquiries. I know Ms. Beach testified that the last documents were historic inquiries. So that may be another piece that you might want to look at.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, objections to the entry of the exhibits?
No,
No objection.
Mr. Brown?
I haven't seen the one report, but assuming it says what I think it says. The only thing I'd ask is we get to cross-examine on it at a later hearing.
Yes, I was going to say that. I'll say that for the record as well. The CTAC will be subject to objection and cross-examination for purposes of the parenting time hearing scheduled for next Monday, or this Monday, I should say. So yeah, it'll be open for that. Yes, Mr. Brooks. Any objections, Ms. Underwood?
No, Your Honor.
Very well.
I'm okay with that. No, not scheduled for a day, but as long as we are able to raise that on Monday, no objections.
Yes. Granted. Exhibits are received. Questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland?
No, because it's not a review for my client. We're going to cover that on Monday.
Very well. Mr. Brooks, any questions? For Ms. Ashley Beach?
No,
Ms. Underwood?
I have no additional questions.
All right, Ms. Beach, will you be able to join us on Monday at 2:30 to go over the parenting time concerns that were raised in the sidebar as well as in the CTAC evaluation?
Yes, I will.
Okay, we appreciate that. Any other witnesses today, Ms. Underwood or Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brooks?
you want to testify?
Yes.
My client wants to testify.
Coming up to our witness stand.
Get puffy again. Because it upset me the last time.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
So
sir.
let me finish, please. I'll start again. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, I do.
I just stop.
All right, Mr. Brooks, whenever you're ready.
What is it that you got on your mind, sir?
Just feel like we need to discuss things that actually matter.
Do you have a list?
You know,
Can you tell us what they are?
I'd like to get the township to hurry up and get this trailer done.
That's nothing to do with this court.
Okay. I'd like to have more time with my kids than I've had. Don't know who I gotta appeal this whole matter to, but I'd like it on record that I do want to appeal it if it doesn't go the way it's supposed to. Because there's a lot of issues against me in the court. I'd like to move forward with everything, but at the end of the day, I'd like to see my kids more than I'm getting to. I'd ask that it not be put on YouTube numerous times.
Anything else?
I feel like my rights aren't right at the moment because of all the issues in the court. I feel that I am the father to these children, but I'm not getting the proper
Recognition, maybe?
proper recognition to move forward with this case. Like I talked to Brian Frey yesterday. He told me to just put it on the matter if nobody was talking to me about it, just so it's legal documentation that if it doesn't go my way, that I'm appealing it or have an instance to appeal the matter because I've not been able to talk like I wanted.
Anything else?
I am understanding that there's a Cherokee, Chippewa, and Seneca Indian possibly in us and my children bloodline. I don't know if you guys have put all three of those in or not. I do know I have started my parenting classes, which I have tonight. I think there's 4 set up for me. I have gained into masterpiece counseling, but with everything going on, I have not continued there yet because I have to fill the paperwork out. I'm working on getting a vehicle running so I can do these matters or take these matters back into my own hands. I just feel like every time I've tried to talk, I've been shut down on the matter.
You feel like you're being shut down today?
No. I feel like there's conflict of interest because I know Stanley Sala and his daughter in the long run, because my brother and me have worked for them.
Or anything else?
Not at this moment.
I have nothing further.
Anyone else have questions for this witness?
None.
No, Your Honor.
No questions.
Thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat.
No further witnesses.
Anyone you'd like us to hear from, Ms. Underwood?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, comments in closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the conditions that cause children to come into care are still present. There are the services in place to start addressing that. And I know that we'll be back in a couple of days for the parenting time matter. So we're asking the court to adopt the case service plan and enter that into its order today. Thank you.
Comments, Mr. McFarland?
No, I'll wait until the Monday.
Okay. Mr. Brooks?
My focus is different entirely than everybody else's, I think maybe even including my own client. The issue here is my client has no housing for these kids. And unless and until that issue is resolved, all this other stuff is just details. And that is the reference my client was making to the township, giving him problems to get the mobile home that he's purchased erected on land that his family owns. There's nothing you can do about it, but that to me is the biggest issue. You got to get past that before I get past anything else.
Thank you. Any comments, Ms. Underwood?
Your Honor, I believe that housing is just the tip of the iceberg as far as issues go in this case. While it is one, there are several things that need to be addressed and that can be worked on in the interim. I believe that the three youngest children's needs are certainly being met in the placement that they're in, and I would ask the court to continue that placement at this time. As I stated before, I do have concerns with where the oldest child is at. However, that is his legal parent who has custody of him, and she's not a respondent at this time. So I would just ask that the court potentially require some additional contact between the department and the non-respondent mom to ensure the safety of the oldest child and address his needs, and also order that he be enrolled in school so that he can continue on the medication that he desperately needs and deserves. Again, at this time, his current placement is also appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a question I was going to ask you, Ms. Beach. Specifically, if there's a maltreatment and care investigation, they'll pass it off to an ongoing worker. Have you heard anything from CPS about the concerns that were raised today about the oldest child?
So the maltreatment and care investigation was just in regard to Miss Miller and the three youngest children. So the oldest child was not involved in that investigation. There was an ongoing CPS case for the oldest child's parent, but that was closed within a month of us receiving the case. But we do have concerns about that placement and her ability to meet his needs, especially since he's not enrolled in school yet. And Miss Madrid has contacted the school. They have a packet ready for the parent, and she just hasn't gone and gotten it and completed it. And once everyone is able to review the trauma assessment, you'll see that Junior, some of the things he says throughout the assessment are also concerning to us as well about his mother.
Is it the regular practice of a caseworker in your position to refer that for further investigation through the department proper, or how does that work?
Yes, ma'am. And we plan to do so.
Thank you. Any questions based on my questions, counselors?
No.
No.
All right, thank you, Ms. Beach. Court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's hearing. I reviewed the case services plan. Mr. King's had a chance to look that over as his attorney. It does appear to target the areas that he needs to work on in order to provide a safe, stable, and healthy environment for himself and his children. Many of those were reviewed today: housing, employment, attention to the risky behavior patterns that brought the children into care, supporting himself and their care around that are all significant barriers at this time that need to be addressed before the court can return the children to his care. They are in the safest and least restrictive circumstances, including the youngest three placed with a relative, and then the oldest child placed with a non-respondent parent, understanding that there are some moving pieces there that need to be addressed. I will include the directives to enroll the oldest child into school, into services as recommended by the CTAC evaluation, and to cooperate with sibling visitation. And we'll leave it to the department and the attorneys to decide what other measures may need to happen on that piece. As it relates to parenting time, prior orders are going to remain in full force and effect pending the hearing on Monday after everyone's had a chance to review the CTAC evaluation. I noticed from the court report that it looks like there's another bonding assessment scheduled between Mr. King and the youngest three children for the 6th. So I would just request that the department consider asking the evaluator to be present on Monday, in the event that we won't have a response back about that in that timeframe, and or potentially to answer any additional questions that they may raise. So we'll leave that to them to handle, and as well as the attorneys to handle any other witnesses they may want to have available for that, although I will say we only have an hour. If we need to, we can look for some additional time after that point on Monday. But in the meantime, the order of disposition will be entered. It will reflect that the department has satisfied their obligations, as have the attorneys, and are regarding ad litem. The case services plan will be part of the court's order. And I will continue to have the hearings separately, at least for the first regular review, and set Mr. King's review for that previously referenced date of April 15th at 2:30 p.m.
Thank you. The February 10th hearing is a separate hearing for someone else, right?
The February 10th hearing is on parenting time for your client.
Oh, then I do need to be here.
Yes, please.
Very well.
And then the next one is the April 15th at 2:30.
Very well. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. That's all for today. I'll have the order in a few minutes. A review for the parent who's the mother in this case, as well as a permanency planning hearing, and a review of the parenting time. It was previously scheduled, but it had to be adjourned. Parenting time has been suspended in this case, and so the court's looking at that and whether or not that's appropriate to continue that as well. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer guarding ad litem for the minor children.
Ms. Naja Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Madrid.
Francesca Madrid, foster care worker from Fostering Solutions.
Michael Brooks, I represent the father, Dustin King.
Have you heard from your client, Mr. Brooks?
No,
And he's not here today that you've seen?
no.
And he's not
Honestly,
also,
I have not heard from him. Maybe a misrepresentation. He calls every week.
all right, well, we don't have him by Zoom or in person today, just for the record.
Michael McFarland, representing mother, please introduce yourself.
Kirsten Miller, the mother.
Thank you. All right, any preference, counselors, on what we take first, whether it's well, actually, maybe we should do the review first, and so I can understand what's been happening with Ms. Miller, because obviously that will impact what I decide as well.
That's going to be my preference.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was able to meet with each of the children in person. This time I did go to the two older children's schools, and I was able to see the youngest child at both of the days that I went to the school because the foster placement was also there. I'll start with the youngest child, the daughter. She's doing very well. Her speech is starting to come along. She just turned 2, so she's still pretty young, but she's done very well since being placed with fictive kin, or with her placement. She's always happy, always smiling. Her needs are being met. She is very comfortable with her placement and her brothers when I've seen her interact with them. The middle child I saw at his school. His speech is still difficult for me to understand. However, it seems to be getting better, and he is in school getting the help that he needs and the structure that he needs. He's thriving at the placement as well. He's very comfortable with the caregivers that he has there, and the structure that is provided to him both at home and at school are very much helping adjust, despite the fact that there are still some issues here and there, but overall he seems to be doing very well. The oldest child I also met with at his school. He attends a different building than his brother, but I was able to sit in the classroom with him for a while, read him a book, and just see how he interacts, as well as talk to the teacher for quite some time. He still does have outbursts, however, they're less frequent now that parenting time has been suspended. He would hate going into school before. He would, after visits, cuss at teachers, call them names, be very violent, and there would need to be a lot more classroom evacuations after parenting times. However, those have, they still happen, but they're not as frequent, and they're easier to redirect him at this point. He's very loving. We were reading a book, and he was actually, we were in there and he counted, we were reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and he counted, I think it was 5, whatever it was 5, with strawberries maybe or something, and the teacher said that's the first time he made it all the way to 5. So that was it was nice to see that he's doing well in there, but he accidentally bumped a friend And he made sure that friend was okay and ensured that friend was not hurt by his accidental contact. So it was nice to see that he's got care and compassion. But again, he is making progress and more so since since parenting time has been suspended. I do believe that all of their needs are being met in their current placement. They are in the least restrictive environment. And I believe it would be in the children's best interest I'd like to have a little bit more information about the trauma assessments and bonding before really diving back into full-time parenting time. But if there is parenting time, it needs to be very structured. And if there are any major issues after that parenting time, we need to have a plan with how to address it immediately. Thank you.
That's Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. By way of opening, I suppose I want to acknowledge to the court and apologize to the court and fellow counsel that I did not ask Ms. Abbott or anyone from the trauma assessment to be present for today's hearing. Part of that was I wanted to respect their time, and it was my understanding we were uncertain whether this case would proceed in front of this jurist. So I just want to apologize for that ahead of time. I am grateful that Ms. Madrid included the trauma assessments, and as it relates to Ms. Miller, I think that there's sufficient information to move forward, but I would defer to the court if we would like to, I guess if you would like presentation on that today.
Well, I do want to clear that up a little bit too, because while obviously you were all here last time, the exception of Mr. King, who's on here today, to hear Mr. King indicate that he had done some work for my dad and for me in the past, and that took me completely by surprise, frankly. So I did take some time to talk with my dad about that, and neither he nor I had any independent recollection whatsoever of Dustin King being part of anything. Now, if something comes up in the future where there's more information available, or Mr. King does something or says something that indicates that a further conflict may arise, I'd be happy to revisit that. But at this time, I don't see any reason to recuse from the matter. Any objections or further comments or argument on that point from any of our attorneys today? Please let me know if there's something that comes up on that.
No, Your Honor, I think it's a ridiculous motion.
You're satisfied with Your Honor remaining on the case?
As are we, Your Honor.
Is everyone?
I have no objections or issues, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And thank you for your patience in allowing me to do that. And it certainly does explain, Ms. Thomas, your hesitation to bring witnesses today. Also, I have a feeling Mr. King would prefer that we have this hearing on parenting time, especially as it relates to him, with him present. So I'd be inclined to allow him to do that. So for today, of course, well, I'll be happy to look at the parenting time as it relates to Ms. Kirsten Miller and those exhibits. And we have a separate date set up, I think, for Mr. King's hearing on the 15th. So Mr. Brooks, if you'd like, I'll just adjourn the hearing as it relates to his parenting time to be consolidated with his review on April 15th.
And the date and time on that?
It's his first regular review. It's set for April 15th at 2:30.
I'll stay. I should point out that I have gotten copies of the trauma assessments and read them. I can't imagine what the in-person witnesses are going to be. It'll be any more helpful to my client. By the way, for the benefit of Kim Kudrin, this is the strongest my voice has been in a week. What you see is what you get.
Thank you, and thank you for coming, Mr. Brooks. All right. Well, Ms. Thomas, back to you then for witness presentation today.
Thank you, and I'll call Ms. Madrid to provide her report.
I do have a number of packets presented to me, so I'm sure that during her testimony, we're going to clear up which ones I should keep and which ones.
Okay.
Ms.
Actually,
Madrid, for once, your voice might be louder than mine.
Okay.
Judge, if we can start with that issue, I have in my task list that we were to assist in providing an ICWA chart. I don't know that that's been completed on our end. We're still, as an agency or the department, working with the private agencies, developing a tool and a pathway to keep track of everything. so I'm not sure exactly what the court has in the file, other than obviously the outstanding ICWA documentation.
So I can share with you what I do have is 2 packets that were submitted February 7th. The first appears to have 2 exhibits. The second has 3 exhibits. They're both pretty significant stacks of paper, the second being larger with the 3rd exhibit. And then another one was received March 4th that has 7 exhibits. So that's what I have.
Sorry, Honor, my computer's being very picky today. Ms. Madrid, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to confirm whether or not the other attorneys had received the same thing or had any additional or not as many documents.
I got something with charts on it that are, I got charts.
There are some charts in the trauma assessments as well, Mr. Brooks, so I don't know if that's.
Well, the one I'm thinking of looks like a printout on how to do a microchip in terms of following procedures the federal government is demanding, which may be the other case.
We'll leave you to investigate that between now and when you come back on the 15th.
All right.
Mr. McFarland, do you have the packets that I have?
I do have some documentation. I'm not sure all of you have, but I do have some information, it looks like.
The exhibits, just to clarify, the 2 packets that were produced on the 7th, exhibit 1 is a parenting time recommendation, exhibit 2, Lincoln CTAC assessment. Second packet indicates exhibit 1 is parenting time recommendations, exhibit 2 is revised, and I will use the initials DK Junior CTAC assessment. And then exhibit 3 is of the L CTAC assessment. The packet received March 4th indicates TCW court report, case service plan, CTAC assessments for 2 children, psychological evaluation for Ms. Miller, completed CPS, MIC investigation report, and dental reports for the children. That's where I am for exhibits.
Your Honor, I believe that I'm trying to find what I have because I know that we submitted documentation for the hearing that was supposed to be held on February 10th regarding parenting time. I'm just struggling to find the most updated court report on that. If I may inquire from Ms. Madrid.
Go ahead.
Ms. Madrid, I know that there's been a lot that has been back and forth here. So in my records, I have there is a court report that was submitted. It looks like maybe even February 7th. And that has 2 exhibits, one for parenting time recommendations, and then the second one was L's CTAC assessment. But if I'm remembering correctly, after that, there was a second packet submitted, which had updates to L's CTAC, correct? And then other parenting time recommendations?
They should have been sent the same day.
Okay.
And then I sent the most recent court report on March 4th. Or whatever date.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I have.
Yes. That's
Okay.
It was a day late, but I was waiting on all of the documentation.
Okay. Okay. And from the reports dating back to February 7th, the 2 that you submitted, do those contain different information? Or is one just inclusive of the other and more? Does that make sense?
Yes, the second one is does have additional information after we spoke to the CTAC Center regarding parenting time.
Okay. And would you be asking the court to review those documents as relates to Ms. Miller today?
Yes.
Okay. And then in addition to that, you've also provided the court report for today's hearing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in today's court report, there's the case service plan for Ms. Miller, the CTACs for L and N, and then a psychological evaluation for Ms. Miller. It looks like it's redacted. Can you just briefly indicate the reason or what is redacted from that?
So we received one report for both parents. So with Ms. Thomas's assistance, we were able to separate them. And so only Ms. Miller's information is in her psychological that was submitted. Any information redacted is regarding Mr. Key.
And then you have the completed MIC investigation, I believe that was started back in January, and then dental reports for the children, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in addition to, I guess, comprehensively, the 2 reports from February and then this report in March, to the best of your knowledge, are there any updates or modifications that need to be made?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right. And again, we're only going to speak about Ms. Miller. So during this review period, well, let me ask this. Do you believe that there is a substantial risk of harm if the court were to return the children to her care and custody today?
Yes.
And can you just briefly elaborate what that risk of harm is?
They would be at a continued risk for homelessness, exposure to domestic violence and improper supervision, as well as unmet mental health needs.
And during this review period, what services have been offered to Ms. Miller to address those risks of harm to the children?
Yes, so Ms. Miller participated in a psychological evaluation. She also began counseling at Counseling of Lenawee. She's had 1 appointment, I believe, so far. We also made a family assistance program referral with Orchard Children's Services that just recently began, so they haven't made too much progress other than rapport building. She was provided with several online parenting education classes through the MSU extension, and she did complete several of those. Only 1 of those is in the report, and I did receive several more this morning from her certificates indicating she did complete some additional classes. I believe that is it. She did report that she is working on finding employment and securing her own housing. I don't have any other updates on that, so she might be able to give a better update on that. But she is engaged in services and maintains consistent communication.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat, who did she recently start therapy with?
Counseling of Lenawee.
Okay. So it sounds like she's doing a lot of work towards her case service plan. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And are there any areas in which she is non-compliant or is maybe needing to progress a little more before, I guess areas of non-compliance or areas that need to be continuously addressed?
Yes, so we just recently got the psychological back, so she will need to start tackling those recommendations. She just recently started counseling, and I did provide that evaluation to her counselor. So they're going to begin working on those recommendations. Housing and employment definitely is a concern and continues to be kind of up in the air, but as in the next reporting period, we'll be able to tackle that more with different referrals. And then as far as her children's trauma assessments, those also just recently came back and we have several recommendations. We have not had a family team meeting to sit down and go over all of those recommendations yet though.
In your report, it indicates that Ms. Miller motioned the court to drop the personal protection order that was put in place between the parents back. It was effective in late November, and then she asked for it to be dismissed mid-January. Do you have any information about that, or were you able to talk to her about that decision?
So I did speak to her, and she indicated to me that I was under the impression that she did want to continue in a relationship with Mr. King, but then I was informed recently by the Orchard Children's Services worker that she stated she did not, and I just haven't had a family team meeting with her to get an update on that, so she may be able to give a more specific stance on where she's at with that today.
And is it your impression that the issue of domestic violence and educating around it and identifying risks and learning how to prevent it is going to be addressed with her therapist?
At this time, yes, and I did provide the evaluation, but she will be letting me know if she is not able to fully address that recommendation, and then we will be looking to her to engage with Catherine Cobb.
Okay. And you put quite a bit in your report about the MIC investigation. Thank you for that. And then also thank you for including that report. Can you just highlight, I guess, what the complaint was and then what the outcome of the investigation was?
Yes. So the summarized version of the complaint was that during a parenting time, Lincoln reported that Ms. Miller pinched him during a supervised visit, leaving some marks on the back of his arm. The complaint was made to centralized intake, and it was assigned to MIC. An investigation opened, safety plans were created, but it was not substantiated.
And since I know there's been a lot of talk of parenting time, and so I really want to give you an opportunity to address that. I believe Ms. Miller's initial disposition hearing was December 20th. Since then, what has parenting time looked like for her?
So since I took over the case, parenting time has been predominantly suspended, but from what I have been able to read and been informed by my supervisors, parenting time is very chaotic, and it's the observation that Ms. Miller is unable to meet all of her children's needs at the same time, specifically the oldest child who does have significant behavioral concerns during and after the parenting time visits. And I think that same observation was made in the trauma assessments where she was observed to need assistance and need lots of intervention in order to manage her 3 children. Yeah, I would say that.
And at this time, do you believe that the continuation of continuing suspending parenting time or the suspension of parenting time is appropriate, or based on the trauma assessments and the services that are in place, are you asking the court to reconsider allowing supervised parenting time?
We would ask for discretion to reinstate parenting time once we have a family team meeting to discuss the recommendations on the trauma assessments and her psychological. So I do believe and the CTEC recommendation, which stated that the visit should be for a short period of time, just to make sure all of the children's needs are being met, specifically their emotional needs. So if we do have that discussion, we would have a family team meeting to discuss those recommendations and make sure we have a lot of safeguards in place during the visit. Yes.
Okay. And at this time, I know that you haven't had this meeting, so this may be a premature question. But at this time, do you believe that parenting time with Ms. Miller and the children should be on an individual basis with each of the children for shortened periods of time?
I would say they should be separated between the 2 youngest and the oldest.
Okay.
Just because the oldest child has significant behavioral issues, kicking out of the room, throwing things, making it very hard for her to even attempt to manage the other children.
Okay. Ms. Underwood had provided her report and indicated that the oldest child who has these significant behavioral concerns has been making progress in his classroom, and I believe, if I remember correctly, also in the placement home since parenting time has been suspended. Do you have anything to add to that?
I would just echo that. He seems to be doing really well. He has a ton of services at Trenton Hills, OT, PT, social work. All of his needs are being met, and he has, even visiting him, it seems like he's just calmer and really seems to thrive off of structure and like specific routine. I think he's doing really well.
And is he currently receiving any therapeutic services?
So he has social work at Trenton Hills, but he does not have an infant mental health worker. That is something that will get started in the next reporting period now that it was in the trauma assessment.
Is there anything from your report that we haven't touched on that you would like the court to be aware of?
Not at this time.
Okay. And then for just to make sure we're not missing anything from the earlier reports back in February, That trauma assessment with the addition of the update, I guess, from part 2 of that report, that is for the oldest child, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And has he undergone any other additional assessments since this report has been drafted?
You're speaking of LK, right? Not
The
GK.
oldest, yes. I'm sorry, yes, the oldest of Miss Miller's 3 children.
Yes. No, he has not had any other assessments or evaluations. He is engaged with Trenton Hills and has LASD, Special Early On Services.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, Your Honor, with that, I have no further questions for Ms. Madrid and would move to admit the February report as relates to Ms. Miller's child, and then the report for today's hearing.
Objections?
Objections.
No position.
Your Honor, if the report from March 4th is the one that's supposed to contain the ICWA information, I do not have the ICWA information. Other than that, I have no objection. I've double checked. I was reading another case earlier, but not this one. Mine ends with a trauma assessment.
Yes, there's no, I don't have any ICWA information on it, nor any exhibit indicated that there should be any.
Okay, I misunderstood that. No objection.
Ms. Underwood, I'm sorry, I missed it. Do you have any objections?
No objection.
Very well. I'm going to receive the packets from the 7th as well as March 4th and leave those open to Mr. Brooks as well in case there's any information there that he needs to engage with as it relates to his client's review on April 15th.
Thank you.
Questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland?
I do. My client indicates she's agreeable to bifurcating, having children visit with her separately. This would all be discussed at the family meeting, correct?
Absolutely.
The time frame for scheduling.
I would say it will be completed within the next 2 weeks,
Okay.
depending on her schedule, obviously.
Priority wise, is she doing what she should priority wise under the case service plan at this point?
Yes, and she has all the necessary information, like the psychological evaluation recommendations and the trauma assessment recommendations. Those are the top priority, just to make sure that we are focusing on keeping parenting time safe.
Well, there's a lot of recommendations. Is there any place where she should be placing the emphasis? Maybe that might clarify.
Mental health and parenting.
Okay. And you have releases signed so you can get information up to date on her mental health?
I do have a release signed with counseling of Lenaway, sorry.
And I know she wants to discuss attending some school functions, reading functions that can also be addressed at this family team meeting, correct?
Yes, it depends on parenting time and whether or not it's reinstated.
I didn't hear you, kind of cut off.
Sorry,
I have a fan above me, so.
it depends on parenting time and if it's reinstated. Sorry, it's off.
I have nothing further.
Mr. Brooks, any questions at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Underwood, whenever you're ready.
Yes, I'm just trying to figure out where I should start here. With respect to the oldest child, do you believe that reinstating parenting time would make him regress in the areas he's progressed on?
I do think that we will see the same behaviors that we saw when parenting time was already happening, especially in the beginning.
With respect to the younger 2 children, is it more reasonable for parenting time to start with Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Aside from the behavioral issues, are there any safety concerns during the visits that need to be addressed?
I mean, there is a lot of physicality needing to kind of restrain him a lot of the time by Ms. Miller and anyone really in the visit, but she more than likely always needs assistance with that. whether it's discipline or restraining or just keeping him safe, not hurting his head or running out of the room, things like that.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any other questions, Mr. McFarland?
Well, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
I'll be calling my client if she wants to know about it.
Thank you, Mr. Garland. Ms. McKinney, would you like to make a statement about how the children are doing?
Sorry, my voice there for a second. The kids have been doing a
Well, wait,
lot better.
hang on. If you, Ms. McKinney, if you would, you don't have to testify. If you would like to, though, we'll just have you sworn in, okay?
Okay.
Would you like to make a statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I would ask that Ms. McKinney be sworn in. Thank you so much. And Ms. McKinney, how are you familiar with the children?
My boyfriend is their biological great uncle,
And are the children
and
currently
I
in your
am
care?
fostering them. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's really breaking up on our end. I'm not getting any of that.
Sorry, Your
We need
Honor.
to-
One minute, Ms. McKinney. Ms. McKinney, are you the current foster care placement of Ms. Miller's children?
Yes, I am.
And how long have they been in your care?
Since November 20th of 2024.
And since they've been in your care, I believe that you've provided us with updates and that we've gotten those through the court reports. But is there anything that you would like the court to know about how they've been doing since they've been in your care?
They've come a long way. It's been a very emotional and challenging time with Lincoln. Leo and Nevada are just happy-go-lucky 24/7. Lincoln's come through a lot of obstacles and overcome a lot of trying times for him, but he's doing really, really good now. But I am concerned on the issue if they start parenting time with Leo and Nevada, Lincoln's going to get very, like, if I do something with the kids, it's got to be like all three. And I'm afraid how that's going to affect Lincoln with the other two. So I'm kind of concerned about that.
Okay. Ms. McKinney, it's maybe a little too late for this, but we are on YouTube. So I just would ask if you could refer to the children as the oldest, middle, and youngest.
Okay.
And then we'll try to keep, it's okay. We'll try to keep track of them that way. So for the oldest child, there's been a lot of testimony from the workers and even the LJL, which was presented to the court, that he's struggled after parenting time with a lot of behaviors. Have you witnessed that?
Oh, yes. A lot. Yes.
And since parenting time has been suspended, have you seen a decrease in those behaviors?
Yes. Very dramatic decrease. He does still have some outbursts, from time to time, but he is he loves being on a routine, and he's doing a lot better. It's a lot calmer.
And if I'm understanding your statement earlier, it's that you're concerned if the oldest child is not participating in parenting time with the youngest two, how that might also affect him. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had a problem with disassociation with his little brother, especially. They're used to doing everything together, and if the middle child was to go with the younger one, I don't know how the oldest would adapt to that, because change is hard for him. He doesn't adapt to change as good. So that's going to be an emotional roller coaster.
Okay. And I feel like maybe the two younger ones are not discussed as much, but were there the same type of behavioral concerns after parenting time for them as the older child?
The middle one, somewhat, not a lot. The youngest, she's always happy-go-lucky. She wasn't, very upset or anything like that, but the other two, definitely. But the middle one, not near as much as the oldest one. He struggled a lot.
Okay. Do you feel that the children have sufficient or adequate safeguards and supports in place so that if parenting time is reinstated, maybe their behaviors aren't going to be as escalated as you've noticed in the past?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I really don't know.
Do you believe that they're ready for parenting time to be reinstated? For mom.
Personally, I've just got them on a very cool, calm routine that they're used to everything at a certain time. After school routines, you know, dinner time and bath time, bedtime, everything at a certain routine. And I don't know, it would be disruptive to their routines and then like back to square one again. But other than that, I guess it's a catch 50-50.
Okay. Thank you so much for your testimony. I don't have any more questions for you, but other attorneys may, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Questions, Mr. McFarland?
Yes, are you a placement?
You might want to go to the.
Thank you, I will. I
Watch your
just
head.
thought about that.
Everything's fine.
Now you can see me. Ma'am, are you a placement? If this case goes south, you'd be in a position to adapt?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, okay. Do you have an opinion if mom visits the children? Well, I guess you already expressed that opinion, so I have no further questions.
Mr. Brooks?
No,
Ms. Underwood?
How are you, Sherry? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi.
What kind of progress would you say that the oldest child has made since being in your care?
Oh, he's learning so many things. Not to be in fear of teachers, not to be in fear of police. He had so many fears and so much rage. He knew a lot of violence and was acting on that very, very dramatic. But he's a lot calmer now, and we can sit down and talk about things, and he can think about seriously, like, okay, if I do this, what's going to happen for the aftermath, you know? And he's starting to really stop and think about his steps of his behavior and trying to calm himself down. And he's learning that, you know, even at school, if he gets upset, he can put his hand up for 5 and ask for 5 minutes just to take a break and recollect himself. So he's learning how to not act out in so much rage and violence, because he was very, very aggressive in the beginning and very dramatic. But now he loves a routine. He loves knowing what to expect, and it gives him a sense of safety and security. I'm doing so much better.
I know there was an issue with him using very vulgar and adult profanities at teachers and at you. Has that behavior decreased?
Yeah, he's only had 2 outbursts with me. The very beginning when we first got him, oh God, it was horrible. He was calling me every name in the book, basically. But I guess it was probably about a month ago, somewhere around there, he called me another bad name one time when he got mad, but he hasn't done it since, and he's learning how to not use that language. So he's calmed down with that too.
Thank you for that. So the middle child, he's now in school, correct?
Yes.
And how has he progressed since starting school?
Oh God, so much more. He's so much excitement and telling me everything that he gets to do, and he's making friends. He's very vibrant. You know, his whole attitude on everything in general is stronger, and he just wants to make everybody proud all the time, and he does.
Now, I know he just turned 4, and when he came into your care, I don't think he was fully potty trained. Is that correct?
No.
Is he still working on that, or what is the progress with regards to potty training?
He's still working on it, but he's getting probably 75% there.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And as you stated before, the youngest, the daughter, every time I've seen her, she's smiling and happy. Is that her general demeanor?
Oh, yes, yes, all the time. She's always just a happy little girl. She's a blessing.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. McKinney, from what I read in the court report, the youngest child was scheduled for an evaluation with early on March 6th, so just a few days ago. Can you tell me if there was anything that they identified that she could use support in, or any concerns?
Her speech and stuff isn't affected near as much as the middle and the oldest child. She's starting to say a lot more words, and that's starting to progress really easily for her. But she doesn't know like any of her colors or shapes or anything like that. So she's going to be going to Trenton Hill probably once a month and just doing some interaction up there to try to kind of get her up to par. But I've been working with her a lot at home.
Okay, any other questions for this witness, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
No, thank you.
Ms. Brooks?
Thank you, no.
Ms. Under? All right, thank you for your testimony, Ms. McKinney.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
My client would like to testify.
Okay, Ms. Miller, come on up to our witness stand. Thank you.
Why don't you enlighten us as far as the status of the PPO? You told me it no longer exists. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you've told me somebody instructed you to terminate that. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Can you tell us who told you and under what circumstances?
Ashley Beach did. She wanted to, because the father of the children wanted to do group counseling to try to get back together, but I don't want to be with them. I just want to get my kids home in a safe environment without their dad because of all the domestics.
Could you speak a little louder, please? You tail off.
Ashley Beach told me to get it done because Dustin wanted family counseling to try to get back together, and I don't want to get back together with them because of all the domestic.
When was this PPO terminated?
I believe it was in January.
Have you had any issues with him since then?
No.
If you do, is it your intention on refiling a PPO?
Yes.
Is it true that you wish to have no contact at all with him whatsoever?
Correct.
Okay. And you've also indicated to me that you're agreeable to having this family team meeting to discuss what your parenting schedule is going to look like, correct?
Yes.
You want to bring up some issues regarding attendance at parenting time issue or events like reading and doctor's appointments. That's, you understand you'll have an opportunity to discuss that at the family team meeting, right?
Yes.
And you also heard where they would like to have some of your focus on your mental health.
Yes.
And following your case service plan, right?
Yes.
Any concerns that you have on
No.
your case? Any highlights that you want the court to know, accomplishments?
I have gotten counseling. I am on medicine for my mental health. I'm still looking for a job. I'm on 2 waiting lists for a house. I go back next week to meet with Housing Help Illinois to help me get further on to get into a place so I can get a safe environment for my children.
You have a community mental health caseworker assigned to you?
No, I don't go to CMH. I go to Adrian Counseling and Psychiatry.
Got you. And how regular are your appointments there?
Once a month.
And you signed a release with Ms. Madrid?
I believe so.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you wish to address with the court today?
No.
We'll see if any other attorneys have questions.
Questions, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you. Ms. Miller, you stated that Ms. Beach instructed you to terminate a PPO. Can you please provide me with, or can you please state exactly the conversation that you had with her?
She said if we wanted to have counseling that we had to drop the PPO in order for us to even try to make an appointment for family counseling.
So she did not tell you to drop the PPO.
But the father motioned for the PPO to get dropped.
So you did not motion for it to be dropped?
No, the father did.
And did you contest that?
As the jurist who presided over that particular hearing, I would make a recommendation that you review the transcript from that rather than the independent recollection of this particular witness for further unmoneyed inquiry.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, because I'm very concerned about the testimony and would call Ms. Beach for a rebuttal witness on this point because I'm very concerned about what was stated. But I believe that's all I needed to ask. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, questions, Mr. Brooks?
No, Your Honor, I just muddy the water further.
Ms. Underwood?
Have you had an opportunity to review the trauma assessments of your children?
Yes, I have copies of them in like on paper.
Do you believe, and how do you believe that parenting time has gone when you've had it with your kids?
The oldest, he likes more one-on-one, I think, but he does have behavior issues, I'll agree with that. Usually they go good, but this last visit before my visits were suspended, he did say the vulgar language and I did put him in timeout. And I never pinched him, so I don't understand that. They usually do go good until we have to put them in their car seats.
So where would the oldest child have learned that language?
His oldest brother.
A lot of the assessments indicate that there are issues with your ability to parent. Do you think that you could improve on your parenting?
Yeah, in some areas.
Your oldest son's CTAC indicates that it might be appropriate for him to receive some type of counseling before reincorporating parenting time. Do you think that would be beneficial for him?
I mean, I want parenting time, but everybody needs a counselor. I don't think it should be stated before I get to see him again.
If your oldest continues to regress his prior behaviors after visits, do you think it'd be appropriate to suspend those visits?
Well, he's gonna regress because he's not in my home yet.
So the question is, if seeing you is making him regress, do you still believe that parenting time with you should continue?
Yes, because he's gonna regress until he gets into my house. He's used to being with mom and dad and not his aunt and uncle.
Okay, but you've heard the testimony that he's doing very well with his aunt and uncle, correct?
Right, and he was doing good with me in school too. He's doing the same amount what he was doing with me in school than he is with his aunt and uncle.
But his behaviors have improved since being with aunt and uncle, is that correct?
He never had outbursts when I had him when he was in school.
I have no further questions.
Redirect, Mr. McFarland?
No, I was unaware the PPO took place, so I'm in front of this court, so I'm sure the court will take judicial notice on that. So I have nothing further.
Anyone else have any other questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat.
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks, assuming no witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Witness testimony today, Ms. Underwood?
No, Your Honor.
Comments in closing, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, at this time, we are asking the court to continue with the goal of reunification. And I'm still very concerned about Ms. Miller's testimony regarding what allegedly took place or what was, I guess, said to her by someone who works at the agency. And I'm very certain that that did not happen. So just with that, it really calls into question her credibility, I guess, and it makes me concerned about requesting discretion to allow parenting time moving forward for these kids. The trauma assessments indicate that she does struggle in managing the three children together. We have ample proof and evidence that these children were not doing well in her care. And we're finally getting them stabilized. As Ms. McKinney said, they're in a good routine. And I know that, suspending parenting time absent significant risk of harm to the children's life, physical health, and mental well-being, we need to offer that. But I think that given where these children were when at the time of removal, where they are now, parenting time would pose a risk of harm, specifically to the oldest child and to all of their emotional and psychological well-being, and potentially their physical well-being, considering what we have in these recommendations about her limited ability to monitor the children. However, I know that because the request is reunification, parenting time is something that we're going to need to consider and try to figure out. And so if this court is inclined to provide the agency the discretion to allow parenting time, that we ask that it include in its order that we may deviate from policy given the recommendations in the trauma assessment. So whether that's a half hour per kiddo individually, her specialized time with mom. But I think there's a lot that needs to be worked through still before subjecting these children to go back to parenting time, frankly. Otherwise, it seems that Ms. Miller is making progress in her case service plan, and we can continue to monitor that to determine whether she's benefiting from that case service plan. And the agency is definitely doing their due diligence in providing active efforts for this family. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Well, Your Honor, this is a quite lengthy report. I've gone over it. I haven't seen any negatives on my client. It appears as though under every area, she was critiqued as making forward progress. It seems that the agency is also willing to have a family team meeting to discuss parenting time. It seems as though they expressed an opinion about having the children separated for parenting time, and whether that's going to be all the time or to begin with, what that would look like. Family team meeting would address that. We've had no experts to date to testify to the contrary. Client's take is in counseling for the progress she's making, and I'm sure the court would not have dissolved the PPO knowing where this case stands if there wasn't good reason for that. I was not on that case. I'll just say that for the record. So that's our position. Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, any comments?
I do not.
Ms. Underwood?
Your Honor, I believe we're at a difficult position right at this point because, as Ms. Thomas said, I need to weigh the risk of harm for the children not having parenting time or contact with their parents, but also what is truly in their best interest. And at this point, based on the trauma assessments that I have again reviewed, as well as a testimony from Ms. Miller, I'm concerned that Ms. Miller doesn't fully understand the trauma that she has taken part in when it comes to her children and the point in which they're at today, as well as the progress that they have made since being out of the environment that they were in with her. I think with the oldest child, it would be appropriate for him to participate in counseling, either participate in counseling before revisiting parenting time, or have his parenting time be in a therapeutic setting where it's not just with a supervisor, but with a therapist that can help navigate the behaviors that he may display while they occur, but then also be able to help assist with those behaviors after he returns to his caregivers. With the younger two, if parenting time were to be reinstated, I do believe it needs to be structured and supervised, but also allow the discretion of the department to have them be either shorter periods of time or suspended or stopped if issues arise. I would also ask that we give the caregivers the ability to take the children across the state line to Ohio, just to go to the zoo or to places that they go may go regularly. That way these kids can continue to be a part of their day-to-day life and family. And I would be I'm very cautious about parenting time with the oldest right now, as he does have the most behavioral issues and struggles the most after visits. So I would ask again that those be therapeutic in nature, if at all, and the younger two be supervised at a minimum. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had one additional comment, Your Honor, just based upon the hearing later. My client has no objection to the kids going across the state line.
Thank you. All right, the court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's review hearing as it relates to Kirsten Miller. Review always encompasses a look at parenting time, especially in a situation like this one where the parenting time has been suspended. I do have some guidance from our CTAC investigation for the three children. I also am guided by the observations offered by the placement and the supervisors that have been part of parenting time for Ms. Kirsten Miller. I would note that today's review hearing also consists of a permanency planning hearing for mom. At this early outset, it seems to be the consensus that reunification should continue to be the goal. I would note that the children have been removed since November 21st, 2024. And since the removal, Ms. Miller has not made progress in the areas of housing, employment, or education in a way that would allow her to testify today that she understands that her behaviors and choices as a parent when the children were with her full-time significantly affected them. What we heard from her testimony today under cross-examination from our guardian ad litem is that the child who has exhibited the most challenges and been marked as a result of the longest amount of time that he spent with both of these parents clearly continues to struggle. He's been found to have significant issues with his physical health, his dental health. I think I read something like 10 to 12 teeth are going to have to be pulled from this child because of the neglect around his physical and medical health, his dental health. He's got significant delays in a lot of areas, including educational, and she confirmed today that her perspective remains that he was getting just as much education in her care as he is now, and was not having any behavioral incidents, which is frankly not credible. There were some other pieces of her testimony also that were very contradictory, namely her remarks, summary remarks that she didn't wish to have any continued connection with Mr. Dustin King, the father of the 3 children, but as recently as her psychological evaluation, she did, in fact, downplay, deny any instances of domestic violence in the relationship, and really, frankly, spoke to the evaluator as though she planned on attempting to reunify with Mr. King in the future, if the court would allow that. So I have significant concerns that whatever the counseling is doing and whatever the education is doing through the online educational pieces that she seems to be attempting to do has not made a dent, frankly, in the significant concerns that were in place at the time that these 3 children were removed from her care. It's 38-degree weather, as everyone may recall. They were in significant need of physical attention to their physical needs. I don't need to revisit all of those issues. Suffice it to say that I do not have any indication that Ms. Miller has made progress on her goals in the last 3 months. Certainly not to the extent that I could see that there's been any benefit to that progress. So I'm leaving the goal of reunification today, but I'm going to say it's going to take some significant movement and motivation in the next 3 months in order to continue on the path of reunification. The perspective of this court is that these 3 young children bear the marks of the trauma that they suffered while in her care. The oldest bearing the most marks and the most damage between him and his bond, as was remarked on by the CTAC evaluator. He is still the one with the most significant behavioral issues associated with visitation. We're still unclear on his diagnoses. He reportedly had autism at one point, but we don't know if that's the case. Could very well be that there was just significant trauma, and he is making leaps and bounds in his structure and consistency that's being offered by the placement at this time. The second child also is stabilizing and learning and catching up on some of the delays that he has and some of the behaviors that he's exhibited that mimicked the dynamics of domestic violence. Very prominent marks left on both the oldest and the middle child of the dynamics in the relationship between Ms. Kirsten Miller and Dustin King, reenacting very serious incidents of domestic violence and adult ways of dealing with conflict, like cussing and swearing at people. And these children, just the 2 oldest especially, continue to exhibit, although on a decreasing level, many of the marks left on them. And they're going to need to continue to learn in a structure in an environment supported by interventions from counselors and occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists. And much of that is going into place for them now. And that is credit due to the referrals made by the foster care agency, as well as Ms. McKinney, who's obviously dedicated a significant portion of her life in order to trying to stabilize an environment for these 3 children to stop what was happening with them, which was rapidly spearheading all 3 children towards significant physical, mental, emotional, and psychiatric trauma. The youngest child also reflects that her CTAC reflects that she has her own struggles. She needs to, as it was phrased by the assessor, she needs occupational therapy services in order to assist in development of adaptive skills, to increase visual motor integration skills, develop fine motor coordination and dexterity with her upper. That's a very basic skill set. It goes on to say, a child of Nevada's age should begin to demonstrate a consistent digital pronated grasp with writing and coloring utensils, as well as begin to on and off clothing consistently, take on and off clothing. Additionally, it's imperative that she achieve age-appropriate fine motor, visual motor, and bilateral coordination skills, such as copying, pre-writing strokes and shapes, stacking several small blocks, and completing large chunk puzzles in order to achieve higher order self-care, socialization, learning, and play skills. So all three of these children very clearly display gaps in their learning that were clearly as a result of the neglect and dangers that were present when in the care of Ms. Kirsten Miller Director. As it relates to the parenting time, I think the guidance that's offered as it relates to the oldest child is remarkable. Specifically, the danger in allowing this child, and any child really, to continue to exhibit negative behaviors associated with parenting time has been phrased rather nicely by the experts employed by the Trauma Assessment Center here at Adrian. Negative behaviors, this is page 20 of the oldest child CTAC. Negative behaviors could lead to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and further mental instability. Al may need to work with his individual therapist before his visits move forward with his mother and or father. We've seen that take place, both with this child as well as the other two children after visits with both parents. I'm not inclined to allow the parenting time to continue at this juncture. I think the children are still in a stabilization time frame, and I have no interest in allowing the negative behaviors associated with visits to compromise that progress, to compromise their placement, compromise their education or development any further. I will ask that the children be referred to, if they haven't already, therapeutic parenting time. And for that therapeutic parenting time, individual, professional, to be given the CTAC assessments, to be given the parenting time recommendations and all of the materials from the case in order to effectively develop a plan to allow their therapeutic visitation for Ms. Miller after that person has determined that that's appropriate and would not present any further risk of triggering significant behavioral issues that have already indicated harm associated with parenting time with this parent. So parenting time will be suspended until a therapeutic supervisor is secured, who's had time to evaluate all of the materials and make a recommendation on that point. If there's a recommendation made, I would ask the department to bring that to the court's attention, to the attorney's attention immediately, perhaps having a meeting about that, and then bring it to me. But I'm not going to institute parenting time for any of these children until that's in place, for many of the reasons that were already expressed. And I'll say one other thing really impacted this as well, which is the oldest child's experience in being pinched by his mother during parenting time. The assessor noted that he recounted that this had happened several times. She found his account to be quite credible. Considering the testimony that I've had today, it doesn't surprise me that Ms. Miller is denying this occurred, but I also want to say that I think that there were some physical indications that this incident occurred, and that that child's credibility needs to be taken into account. The fact that we have a parent that's willing to take such an action during a supervised parenting time is very significant to this court. It's significant also because there's not just one child here, but 3 children who could be subjected to the same parenting, we'll call it parenting technique. Secondarily, there was observations by supervisors from the department, the agency, as well as the CTAC assessor indicating that the rapid fire questioning by Ms. Miller was a concern, and the decisions that she made about what to speak to during parenting time also indicated that further skill building needs to happen by Ms. Miller before parenting time could be considered safe. So not only do we have the potential triggering of the behavioral aspect as relates to the first and second child, but we also have some of these other concerns that need to be overcome by Ms. Miller before parenting time can be considered safe by this court. So now that I have all of that on the record, we're going to look at our next review. The 3 children are in the safest and least restricted environment. They will continue to be there, as Ms. Miller works on her skill building and the barriers that have been identified by this court as well as in the testimony of Ms. Madrid today. We'll set a review in June. Let's go ahead and set that for 10:30 in the morning on Monday, June 2nd. There'll be again a permanency planning hearing as well as a review.
Will that include my client?
It will not. I'm going to continue to maintain the reviews separately for the parents.
What's the time again? Sorry.
Appears appropriate to do otherwise. 10:30 in the morning, Mr. McFarland, on
Thank you.
June 2nd. And again, if you've been able to secure that supervisor with therapeutic skill sets, and that is a motion, please don't wait all 3 months to get a recommendation. Thank you. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today.
My client waiting in the hall for a copy of the report.
Yes, it should be ready momentarily. And the names of our participants, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer guardian ad litem for the minor children.
Ms. Tasha Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Beach.
Ashley Beach, I'm the foster care supervisor from Fostering Solutions.
Michael Brooks, I am the attorney for Dustin King, father in this matter.
Your name for the record?
Dustin King.
Thank you. So we're here specifically as it relates to Mr. King, his progress, to review that as well as the parenting time. May I have your report whenever you're ready, Ms. Owens?
Ms. Jenner, I was able to, since we bifurcate the parents, I met with the children probably about 6 weeks ago, but it's been between the last hearing for Mr. King, the younger three at least. They all seem to be excelling. They're doing very well in their placements, as well as the older two boys are doing very well in school. The oldest that's living in the foster placement is really starting to regulate his behaviors and his emotions. He is less fearful of people and things now. He's very lovable. He seems to be very happy. He wanted me to read him a story when I was at the school with him last time, and he's really starting to say more words and have more vocabulary. The teacher was concerned because the child had seen the police go by the school, and he hollered out to the class that we need to run and hide because the police are going to come and take us, which was a concern to me. So we're trying to figure out how to work through that. The younger boy is also doing very well in his school. He's enjoying that and he's learning a lot. He's getting the services and things that he needs. And the youngest child, the daughter who just recently turned 2, is really doing very well. She's making a lot of progress. Her vocabulary is also really starting to really explode, for lack of a better word. The placement indicates that she talks more than the boys, and just once you get her started, she's not going to stop at her talking. But they all are very happy. They're all very bonded to their caregiver and to each other. So they're all doing very well, and I recommend that they continue to be in that placement. The oldest child, who is just Mr. King's son, who is placed with his mother out of county, I have a lot of concerns about. I met with him in person at his school last week, and he's a happy kid. He's a resilient kid, but there are concerns in his home with his mom, which we have been trying to work through with jurisdictional issues and things like that. But as I'm sure it will be discussed more, we have been working with his school and Jackson County's CPS to ensure that there's a safety plans and some services in place for his mother and for him, so that his needs are being met. He does have some significant mental health needs as well as trauma that need to be addressed. And I think that we have a plan that's working well there. So assuming that all of those services are in place and his mom is utilizing those services and helping ensure that the child gets to the appointments and the things that he needs to get to, I believe staying there is in his best interest, assuming again that his mom is doing what she needs to do for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Testimony any opening comments from any of our other attorneys?
No.
No, Your Honor.
Testimony, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you.
Ms. King, please keep your, Mr. King, you're going to need to keep your voice down during proceedings, please, to avoid interruptions in the record.
Oh, good.
Ms. Thomas, testimony today?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll call Ms. Beach.
You guys need to communicate.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Beach. Can you briefly state how you are familiar with this matter?
Yes, I am the assigned foster care supervisor.
And as a supervisor, do you meet regularly with the ongoing caseworker, Ms. Madrid?
Yes, we meet at least monthly to discuss the case and any needs. I participate in family team meetings, and then I also approved the report that was submitted.
Okay, and so you are familiar with the report that's in front of the court today, correct?
Yes.
And can you, just for convenience, I know that this has been adjourned a couple of times, can you give us the date of the report?
The report, I apologize, let me pull it up. It was submitted to the court on April 2nd.
Okay, and have there been any other documents that you're aware of that have also been submitted to the court? I believe there might have been like a recommendation or from Bernier.
Yes, Ms. Madrid did submit that recommendation letter from Ms. Moore.
Okay, and at this time, as I know that we're also here on, I believe, parenting time, but as it relates to the progress in this case towards reunification, how would you describe Mr. King's level of compliance with and benefit from his case service plan?
At this point, his mental health and instability is still our primary concern. We have had several service providers also express concerns about his mental health and paranoia. The children's CTAC assessments, his psychological evaluation, and the recent parenting time evaluation with Brene Moore echo concerns about his mental health and stability. So just that is our primary concern, is his instability at this time and making sure that he's addressing his mental health needs. When Ms. Madrid and I met with him in April for a family team meeting, we discussed services that have been recommended for his psychological evaluation, which includes a psychiatric assessment, and he agreed to participate in that assessment, but was adamant that he would not take medication. However, he has a hard time initiating these services, and I think he has difficulty like managing his schedule and attending appointments. So Miss Madrid had to meet him at Adrian Counseling on Wednesday of last week to help him get that assessment started. So he did initiate that service with the help of Miss Madrid. We do not have the full psychiatric assessment yet. And as it relates to parenting time, it's been suspended for Mr. King since December. Dr. Park, who completed the psychological evaluation, recommends a period of 6 months of mental health stability prior to reinstating parenting time. And Ms. Moore provided that recommendation for parenting time, stating that he should not have visitation with his children until he is able to demonstrate stable mental health.
And then the other components of his case service plan, such as like housing and some of those basic, those baseline measures, has there been any progress or anything changed as it relates to the excuse me, those things?
No, not to our knowledge and not at this time. Mr. King has been hesitant to share information with us about his employment or where he is residing. But he says where he's residing now with a friend is not his long-term plan. So still unstable as it relates to obtaining appropriate housing as well.
Okay. And then you mentioned the employment. Is there any proof of employment?
Not that we've received.
Okay. Are there any other elements on the case service plan that you believe would need attention during this next review period?
Primarily, it's just addressing his mental health needs through participation in services and following recommendations from evaluations that are completed. And then we would also be referring him for parent education as well.
And has there been any started like parenting education or anything like that?
Not yet.
Have those referrals been made?
Yet. And to be honest, it's been hard to for Ms. Madrid to communicate with Mr. King at times. There have been scheduled meetings that he doesn't attend, and then there was a period of time where his phone was turned off. So we've had difficulty in that regard, but we will make referrals for parent education.
Okay, but has there been has there been good communication lately, or how have things been? I would say maybe in the last month or so.
I would say communication. His phone was turned off for a brief period of time. This over the last month, but he communicates. He returns contact with Miss Madrid. So,
okay, and then one of the other questions that we, or one of the other issues I think that has been sort of looming, the reason the children came into care was, I guess, I mean, not just neglect, but also there were concerns about domestic violence. Has that been addressed in any way?
Sorry, not yes. Not yet. Yes, that is a concern of ours. That is something that when Mr. King begins engaging in individual counseling, we will ask the counselor to work on with him.
Are you aware of any referrals that have been made to any like DV specific services? Were you able to hear me?
No, I apologize. I froze.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if you were aware of any referrals that have been made to domestic violence specific services. Like I know that there's a class with John Bailey, and I believe that even Michelle Palmer does some. I was just wondering about that.
So Mr. King has completed John Bailey's DVAP program previously. He also utilizes John Bailey as a support when we meet for family team meetings and such. I can ask Mr. Bailey if we can make a referral for Mr. King. And then we can also look into the other option as well that you just provided.
Okay, thank you for that information. And then as it relates to parenting time, I know that you've already mentioned that some of the service providers or the service providers that have made recommendations would like to see some stabilization in Mr. King's mental health before parenting time begins. Do you have a way of measuring that? Or would you be looking to have reassessments? Just trying to get some guidance on the expectations to move forward.
We would be looking for updates on progress from service providers. So getting engaged in individual counseling and psychiatric services. And then, yes, Dr. Park did recommend a reassessment after he starts to receive some of those services. So that's what we would be looking at.
Okay, and is there anything else that you'd like to report to the court today?
I don't believe so. I think Ms. Underwood accurately described what's going on with each of the children. So I don't have anything else at this time.
Okay, thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of the speech. You would move to admit the court report. And I believe in addition to the court report, there was a later sent letter from Ms. Moore that we'd also like to admit at this time.
So by way of review, I have the April 11th, we received an April 11th court report. I have an email dated Monday, April 14th. I have a ICWA cover sheet. I have some other ICWA documents. It looks like the same cover sheet that maybe had been spaced out and reprinted. I have 2 letters from the Cherokee Nation, and I have the psychological evaluation from Dr. Parks dated 2/27/25. Is that what I should have?
I believe so, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No.
Objections. Thank you, they are received. Questions for this witness, Mr. Brooks?
How long has it been since my client has seen his kids?
His last visit was in December of 2024.
What is the minimum requirements you would have to allow him to start seeing his children again?
Engagement and compliance with mental health.
Ms. Beach, it sounds, sorry, the best analogies, it sounds like you're underwater.
I apologize. Can you hear me better now?
That's much better, yes. If you could start your answer over, please.
Okay. Engagement in and progress in mental health services is where we would start for that. And then reassessment by Dr. Parks and Ms. Moore regarding parenting time.
Now, my client just passed me a note here a few minutes ago, something about he's concerned that his oldest child is being molested, I guess, in Monroe County. Do you know anything about that? Jackson County?
So Mr. King did express concerns during that child's CTAC assessment that he had been molested when he was younger, and we called a complaint in, but there was not enough information to proceed with that complaint any further, but I'm not aware of any current concerns of molestation.
Do you, sir, you can't talk to me while I'm trying to cross-examine the witness. It doesn't work.
Well, it seems like nobody has their stuff together.
Mr. King, you've got to try to allow the proceeding to go forward so that we can look at the case. Please try to refrain from interrupting. We need to finish the hearing, Mr. King.
Do you personally get involved with that older child?
Yeah.
Could you give us an update on what his status is?
Yes, so like Miss Underwood shared, we have had some concerns about Dustin's placement with his mother, who is a non-respondent. We've had concerns about educational neglect, and mom has reported sexual abuse concerns between the siblings in the home and has stated that Dustin may be the perpetrator. And then we have also had concerns about Dustin's mental health. He did express some suicidal ideations during this reporting period. So we initiated Lifeway services for him, and there are safety plans in place. But several CPS complaints have been made regarding the concerns that we have, and there is an open CPS investigation at this time, and referrals are being made to support the family as a whole to address the concerns that are present.
So things are not looking that great where he is either, right?
Correct, we have concerns.
You say that my client is not going to see his, or not following up with his meetings with either the department or with the service providers?
Correct. There was one family team meeting that was scheduled with you, Mr. Brooks, that he did not attend. And then Mr. King has said that he initiated services through Masterpiece in Tecumseh, but when we followed up with Masterpiece, they reported that he was not an established client there. So, and then we've asked him to initiate psychiatric services as well, and he's needed help to get those started.
And you're providing that now?
Yes.
So if he starts those programs and attends dependably, you will revisit the issue of parenting time, or at least visitation time?
Yeah, and that would be based upon his engagement in services and progress in services.
Nice. Thank you. That's all I have.
Questions, Ms. Underwood?
I have no questions.
Right. Ms. Beach, as I'm sure you're very familiar with the standard for suspending parenting time, can you help us or review the actual risk of harm associated with allowing Mr. King to have parenting time at this juncture?
Yes, I believe that his mental health and paranoid behavior could cause direct emotional harm to the children. The last visit that we had before suspension, he was very accusatory towards staff and was talking about case-related details in front of the children that were not appropriate and had to be redirected several times. But overall, just his own behavior and unstable mental health, I think, could impact the children's emotional stability as well.
Thank you. Redirect Ms. Thomas.
Yes. Ms. Beach, based on that, the judge's question to you, Ms. Moore in her letter, did she also have safety recommendations for staff when meeting with Mr. King?
Yes, she said that even having 2 workers present may not alleviate the safety risks to being around Mr. King based on his behavior and paranoia.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any other questions, Mr. Brooks?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Underwood.
Ms. Beach, are there concerns that if Mr. King does have parenting time without his mental health being adequately treated, that the progress that children have made over the last several months would essentially be undone?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right. Any other witnesses today, Ms. Thomas?
I have no one else, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
I would like to call Mr. King, who seems to have a lot on his mind this morning.
Mr. King, come on up to our witness stand.
I want you to, if those will help you, you go ahead. I want him back.
Right now.
No.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Watch this now.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Brooks.
Mr. King, you seem unusually agitated this morning.
Very much so.
Tell me why.
I feel like I've been lied to about a lot of things since December.
By whom?
Fostering Solutions, taking my visitations away because they did not like the way I proceeded to protect my children or myself. With that matter being said, Leslie Conrad ripped Lincoln's arms up like this and slammed his the baby gate against him. I asked about grievances. The next day, my visits were taken. A few of their things are a little accusatory because they're, like I said, there's no cameras present, and there should be. After the initial November 22nd deal with all this that happened, I got my diagnosis of autism, or 3 mutated genes, which MTHFR gene being mutated causes vitamin B6 to drop. Well, that is a mood stabilizer. Something this court needs to look into. My IQ is higher than 76. MSU parenting classes online.
What about it?
I've been taking them, so I don't understand why nobody has access.
Have you told anybody?
Oh, yes.
Who have you told?
Francisco Madrid. It seems like I need a new team or workers that's going to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Services are on
expressed
waiting.
a certain amount of, I don't know, fear, anxiety.
Yeah,
about
it causes
their
a lot. It's caused a lot. I have a lot of fear on my.
I'm talking about the caseworkers.
What do you mean?
Well, they've expressed fear that they don't want to be around you.
Well, that they want to express that fear because my stepdad was an alleged limo driver for somebody, whether I should speak on it today or not.
Well, I'm talking about your personal behavior.
And well, I that's why I'd like an advocate, because they don't like the way I am, and I wasn't from the day Lincoln was grabbed up. That's why they're stating this, because I decided to have a meeting with Francisca Madrid, John Bailey, and Ashley Beach. Well, they said, John said he wouldn't say a few things in court, but I wished he would, kind of like you. I want you to say Dustin from the frying pan to the fire, or.
What is the context for that?
It's something you stated on the phone.
Yeah, but what are you talking about? That's a common phrase,
From having him for 140 days, we had a good relationship.
All right.
I took him to Torch Lake, I took him to Lake Michigan, I took him all around. My health got worse. I kept telling him that. He knew that. Everybody knew that. Everybody kept saying, well, I want to see a diagnosis. I want to see this. Anna kept saying it. Many people kept saying it. My mother kept saying it. Well, parasites are real. And if they're cancer, well, that's why I never got an 8-year diagnosis. Well,
So
I don't
you
believe.
seem to be jumping around to a lot of different places. And
I am,
I'm
because
sure
my
if I'm
autism
having trouble,
and my ADD and my dyslexia.
please let me finish the question. If I'm having trouble following you, I'm sure the judge is, okay? So let's try to stick to one subject at a time, not just jump to the next thing that comes to your head, okay?
Okay.
Now, they say that you are not dependable to show up for hearings, or not hearings, but for appointments with service workers. Did you hear them say that?
They stated that, but what day are they stating? They never stated a day. The day I missed it was with you, and I explained it, and then they didn't explain nothing from the email. And I asked them to make a new one, and they said, would you like Mr. Brooks there? And I said, yes, ma'am, I would. Francisca Madrid asked me that, I don't know, within the last 2 to 3 weeks, and then she was surprised at this last meeting that she went to downtown Adrian with me, and she left, and I didn't get to ask her.
Well, I was at that family team meeting.
Yeah, the one I missed, but they were supposed to make a new one, and she asked me if you were gonna be involved, and I said, yes, I would love him there, because I don't like the way I'm being ran under the railroad.
The subject is why are you missing so many appointments?
I missed my phone appointment for the class online on the 15th. I told her that was the last day we had court. So then what happened? We rescheduled it. I got a phone the same day.
And then what? Did you make the next appointment?
The next parenting times, yes, but not the next family team meeting because it was never made. So a little accusatory goes both ways. I believe there's a two-way street in life. Whether me being me as an individual or the courts being the courts.
Are
Well,
there
there's checks and balances.
other meetings that you've missed?
I don't believe so.
Is there anything else that you want to tell the court at this point?
I believe that Leslie Conrad should be looked into about my kid having a gate slammed into him. She bit him with him running up front. I asked her, I said, can I go up there and get him? She said, no, you cannot. That was wrote in an email the other way around.
Who bit who?
Lincoln bit Leslie Conrad after she pulled his arms up. The worker at Fostering Solutions that works for John.
And how old is Lincoln?
5 years old now.
Okay.
She didn't like that. I said, well, he bites. I said, maybe you should be profound in autism, you know, find out about it like I have in the last 5 years. I found out that I'm autistic. Well, I'm on the way. So she ripped Lincoln up. And after that, after I got confrontational about it, because I was sitting back here and I decided to, not confrontational, but more so lack of words, sorry. I'd say I got upset where I used the correct words to say, hey, you have a job here to do. You shouldn't be doing that. I said, that's how I lost my child, or how they're saying I lost my child, because my children have sensory issues, which my daughter did not want her shoes on. Yeah. When Lee Jr. was the same way. When I first touched his feet to grass 12, 13 years ago, he lifted his feet right off the ground. Didn't even want nothing to do with it. I think we learn stuff every day as a court.
Sir, we're trying to stay on your case, not things your children are doing, okay? Do you understand that you have to?
Yes, I do.
Make these appointments? Do you understand that?
My services are on the waiting list at not Fostering Solutions, Masterpiece and CTAC and Renee Moore.
Well,
so
you just heard the caseworker.
Right, and you just heard me too.
Can I speak?
Yes.
You just heard the caseworker state that she contacted Masterpiece and they don't know who you are.
On what day? Because I have an intake form that I went over there and took in. Maybe because it's the paranoia that I had from the Hoffa disappearance, allegedly.
Are you paranoid, sir?
Yeah, much so. Very much so, and I'm been lied to all my life about it.
Do you think that may be part of your sensory perception issues?
Yes, it's my sensory depth perception issue. You're correct. It's no other reason.
Do you think going to these service providers might give you A, insight, and B, some help?
Oh, yeah.
In controlling
100%,
that?
100%, but I need stress management with what I just said.
Then why don't you keep the appointments?
What do you mean? They ain't been made. Nobody's made them with me. What do you mean? You're coming at me wrong.
Well, according to the caseworker, according to the caseworker, you have not kept any appointments that you're supposed to keep.
We just went through this. Why are you asking me the same question?
Because you haven't been very clear.
Review record.
Will you agree to keep your appointment?
Yes, long as they give me them. I have missed them because of my autism, dyslexia, and my ADD. Now, stress management with all this going on, my kids are my regression. My kids not being here, my kids helped me get through the last 5 years of my life. Nobody knows that but me and my doctors and many people.
What doctors?
Well, let's see, John Baker, Mike Mohammed Elderani from Dearborn, for one. He took a picture with him the first time he seen him because he's a fight doctor in Michigan. Life Medical Center. He said the same thing I said in there, but he'd probably lose his license if I said it on YouTube. I'm not going to say it.
Is there anything else you'd like the court to know?
I'd like them to start finding a way to people's health, a little more so than what the doctors are doing today. And
Could I paraphrase that by saying you're asking for
a little bit of help, like I was told I was gonna get in life. And I've been misdiagnosed at 37 years old.
well, I'm just talking about since your kids were born.
But I'm just saying, since my kids are born, I've been autistic with 3 mutated genes for some reason. I don't understand it. But I hope the Human Health Secretary, Robert Kennedy Jr. gets down to the bottom of it.
Okay, I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Questions, Ms. Thomas?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. King, you indicated that your oldest son, who's now with his mom, that you had a great relationship when he was with you for 140 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you keep him safe?
I tried my darndest, other than the time that he went with Kirsten. I can't control his behavior when he wasn't on his medicine, when his mother didn't send it. And I didn't like Hydrocef, so I couldn't get him into the other doctors.
So it's everybody else's fault?
No, it's not, but what you heard is the correct truth. And what I feel like you guys are doing is undermining me completely because of my disabilities or disorders, when there's many other people in this world that are continuing drug habits, and I know it. Like, I probably should stay online, because you guys know a factor in it. I already said so at my family team meeting.
What does that have to do with your children?
Well, it's got a lot to do with it when people of the law choose and pick who they want to help and who they don't want to.
So,
You know, my dad was a cop for 24 years in Morenci, and I hadn't been in trouble until I was 24 years old. You do realize that, correct?
no, I have no knowledge of your
Are you sure?
prior history. But Dustin, why do you feel like your minor kids were removed from your care then?
Because of my lack of interest in the health department in life, with my lack of health, when John Baker, John Kelly, it took me 8 years to get to a correct doctor to find out what's wrong with my health.
Okay, so have you provided any documentation to Fostering Solutions or to anybody in this case about your autism, ADHD, dyslexia, mutated genes?
Sure
or any of
have.
those
You
things?
guys are in lack of accordance to take care of the matters.
Can you provide, I haven't seen any documentation with respect to your diagnoses. Are you able to provide that to the
I
board?
can email it to you.
Okay.
If you give me an email address, you're right.
You can provide it to your attorney and he can provide it to us.
I provided it to, I think I got to provide it to him, but it is provided to my doctor, Mike Elderani.
Okay, can you have your doctors provide that to?
I signed release forms to Miss Beach. And like I said, you guys got too many cases in your matter. And we need a little bit more people. I don't like telling people how to do the job, but I'm sure I could contract somewhere along that line, because my brother is pretty smart. He's sitting pretty well placed in life.
So what have you done in your case service plan over the last reporting
Well, I
period?
took my classes. I missed probably 2, I believe. I'd like to get more from Tyler, but I'm not going to have a queer in my corner because I'm not with things like that. And that's why he chose to not want anything to do with me, apparently. I have to get my phone screen fixed to be able to give text message information, or you guys can get that yourself from him.
So I
He
apologize.
went back and forth.
Who is Tyler?
Tyler Kurkowski, I think. I can't say the last name correct.
And what was his role in your case?
Supposed to be able to give more services.
And you were refusing those because of his
No, I
sexual orientation?
didn't refuse them. He refused them because I didn't give him a correct day.
You just indicated
No,
something
no,
about
no,
his
hold on.
orientation.
That's not the complete reason. The complete reason is he told me that I had to choose a day, and I forgot to choose a day. So I said, can we go farther? He said, nope. I asked Francisca or Ashley if I could have somebody else, and nobody's giving me anybody else.
You indicated you refused to work with him anymore because he's.
I have
Can you please let me
phobias.
finish my question?
Sorry.
So you're indicating you're refusing to work with that person because of his sexual orientation?
I have phobias.
Do you believe that your mental health needs to be treated?
No, I believe what it is, what my mental health problem is, I just stated it on record, I'm gonna do it once more. I believe what is wrong with this world is a lack of obedience to find the scientists that matter to get things done. If I have to become one, I will. I cannot advocate for my children right now, like John Bailey told me, but I'm the one that advocated to figure out Lincoln has autism. That's what you guys are lacking to understand. Your guys' lack of accountability in my life that misdiagnosed me at 37 years old. That is a big widespread problem with me.
What does that have?
Because I lost a child 2 years ago due to pneumococcal antibodies that were given to Kirsten before my daughter was born.
Judge, I have no further questions. This isn't going anywhere. Thank you.
Okay, any redirect, Mr. Brooks?
No,
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Any other witnesses, Mr. Brooks?
no, you're right.
Is there one?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Comments in closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I believe that this hearing has been demonstrative of the concerns that the service providers have reported, the concerns that the agency continues to have. The agency has continued to offer reasonable efforts to ensure that Mr. King can comply with his case service plan, and his lack of personal accountability or responsibility prohibits or inhibits him from being able to do so. And in that, there's extreme paranoia, extreme mental health concerns here that really do need to be addressed. And until they are, he does remain a risk of harm to his children and likely to himself and others. So, Your Honor, we are asking the court to continue the suspension of his parenting time, to set this for another 90-day review, and to monitor his progress. The agency will continue to do what they can. But, Your Honor, clearly it's very, very hard to even have a conversation with him. So thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
My goal here today was to try to impress on Mr. King how important it is that he make and keep his appointments with service providers. I hope it's sinking in and that he does do exactly that. Because
Oh, my fault. Yeah, totally.
Okay, Mr. King, you've got to stop interrupting. You're welcome to wait in the hallway if you can't. Remain calm. It's on YouTube, so if you need to watch it later, you can. Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
if he can, we aren't going to get anywhere. He needs to go. He doesn't even need to agree with these things, but he does need to show that he's willing to put himself out there so that he can get parenting time with his children. And I hope he listens to this. If he has other issues, I just don't know what they are. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood.
Your Honor, these cases are very difficult because as the LGL, a lot of times I do believe that, again, it's important for children to maintain a bond and parenting time with their parents. But on the same token, it needs to be safe for the children, and it needs to be, the parents need to be able to provide some type of benefit to the children during their time that they have. Unfortunately, Mr. King, it almost seems like his behavior and his mental health is deteriorating over the course of this case, as he's not only demonstrating now, but he also demonstrated on the stand, and has demonstrated it every time I have attempted to communicate with him.
Mr. King, I am having a lot of trouble hearing Ms. Underwood, and I'm going to have to ask you to step into the hallway if you continue to interrupt.
It's unfortunate that I would also have to agree that parenting time for Mr. King with his children is contrary to their best interest, as his mental health is not well, and it's a sad situation that he's in. However, it is really up to Mr. King to take action. The department can only do so much. I would agree with Ms. Thomas that the department has made reasonable efforts, if not active efforts, to be honest. This has been a very complicated case, and they've had all hands on deck here. We've had Ms. Brittany Moore involved. Again, we've had Jackson DHHS involved. We have tried to work together for the safety and benefit of all 4 of these children. And they're all doing better than they were when they were in Mr. King's care. So for those reasons, I would ask that parenting time continue to be suspended for Mr. King, that we have a standard 90-day review, and that the children all remain where they're continuing to be at now, as that is the safest and least restrictive environment. Thank you.
Well, the record should reflect all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's hearing, which was a review as well as a permanency planning hearing. But it is, in fact, the first review for Mr. King, who has had to be asked to leave the courtroom in order to avoid further disruptions. I want to just note for the record also that he was provided with a pen and paper in order to try to alleviate his need to communicate verbally with his attorney. And he was able to utilize that in some respects, but in many respects, that was not enough to avoid the interruptions. And it resulted in him being asked to be excused from the courtroom at this time. The question of the goal was not thoroughly addressed by the attorneys or the investigation by the department today. I'm going to leave it at reunification, noting that our next review will also be a permanency planning hearing to look at whether or not there's been enough progress to allow the goal to remain reunification. At this time, the reasonable efforts provided by the agency in this case, fostering solution, are certainly adequate, as are the efforts made by Ms. Underwood in her capacity as guardian ad litem, as are the efforts of our attorneys. It is a complicated case, and I think Mr. Brooks has done a great job in trying to communicate with his client. In this case, is have all of our caseworkers. The issue of missed appointments for Mr. King is one that impacts the question of whether or not his parenting time could be reinstated. Mr. Brooks did a great job of trying to bring that home for Mr. King today, and I'm going to review for the record some of the things that continue to stand in the way of allowing the court to reinstate parenting time. I'm going to start first with comments about the psychological evaluation, which Mr. King did attend, but I don't know that I've ever, maybe one other case I've ever seen a psychological evaluation come back and say that parenting time should be suspended until someone has had a period. In this case, the recommendation is a period of mental stability for at least 6 months with no hospitalizations, demonstrating control of his emotion, and not displaying any psychotic behavior, along with progress on the above goals before supervised visits could be considered. He was referred to Ms. Moore. He was referred to Adrian Psychiatric and Counseling. He did not make either of those appointments. He has consistently indicated he's not interested in taking any medications. He reports some diagnoses, but those have not been verified, and he is not cooperating with additional referrals in order to do that. There were some other things that were missed opportunities for him as well. Of course, the ACPC psychiatric evaluation and assessment has not completed a substance abuse disorder screening or any testing on those points, despite insisting that THC can be used in order to medicate some of his self-reported diagnoses, and of course the dangers associated with high concentrations of THC with psychological disorders is very well known, and that continues to obviously be a risk that would affect the security of his children during parenting time. He was referred to Orchard's Family Assistance Programming, which is an assisted parenting time program, which has supervisors. It's a high structure. He was referred back in February. They attempted twice to initiate those services with Mr. King, and they have since ceased their attempts since those were not successful. He has had some domestic violence counseling in the past, but obviously that's been inefficient or ineffective given the issues present at the outset of the case around domestic violence that have affected his children, his relationship with his partner. He's been referred to domestic violence counseling and has not attended that either. So all of these missed opportunities continue to contribute to, I think, what Ms. Thomas rightly pointed out today, which is a continued decompensation of the mental health of Mr. King. Ms. Underwood also confirms that this in her own observations. And of course, it's nothing against Mr. King. But the priority of this court is to ensure that the children of Mr. King have a safe environment. And at this time, due to the risk associated with allowing parental contact between Mr. King and his children, I'm not able to reinstate that. He has to address those mental health issues. That's supported by a psychological evaluation, that's supported by Ms. Brene Moore, that's supported by our guardian ad litem, our caseworker, and frankly, by the court's own observations during the testimony of Mr. King, rather consistently over the course of the past few years. We'll look at parenting time again, of course, in the next report period. All of those same reasons, coupled also with the fact that he has not disclosed really any other residence other than his mother's, which he's refused to allow to be assessed for safety and has been reported in the past as being unsafe, unsuitable. He hasn't reported or allowed any verification of income. So really in some of the basic areas as well, Mr. King continues to struggle, likely because of those address mental health issues. But of course, we won't be able to do anything more by extension through the department or the agency until and unless he's decided to cooperate with services. But some of those basic need pieces are still not being met either, in addition to the risks associated with his mental health. So there's many reasons, unfortunately, that the children could not be returned to Mr. King today, nor allowed to engage in parenting time. I will note that there are a lot of concerns that I share with Mr. King about his child's placement. Those have been continually discussed by the attorneys, and I would hope that in the next report period, we could look at that. I'm going to appoint Dustin Jr. An attorney to try to advocate for him in the next few hearings, considering that he's also objected to his placement. And it sounds like he's got some pretty legitimate objections on that piece. So we'll appoint him an attorney and look at that a little more seriously in the next report period. We'll do our next review in 3 months, which puts us into August. Monday, August 11th at 10:30 in the morning for an hour and a half. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good luck, Mr. Brooks.
Good morning, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Ms. Naja Thomas, counsel for the department.
Ashley Beach, I'm the foster care supervisor assigned to the case.
Michael Brooks, I represent the father of the children, Dustin King.
Mr. King, your name for the record, please.
Dustin Michael King.
Thank you. So also for the record, we've made some time for Mr. Brooks to speak with his client, as well as to have a brief sidebar to talk about some of the issues that I think we're also going to hear about during the meeting, updates on progress and some of the things that have happened in the last report period. But I would welcome the attorneys to give us any comments on the record about the sidebar before we move forward after Ms. Berger's appearance.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Gail Berger has the attorney for it.
Thank you. Any comments on our sidebar?
I have nothing to add, Your Honor. No, Your Honor, I don't have any comments.
Mr. Brooks?
My only comment on the sidebar is it was primarily to get new counsel up to speed on where this case is, because it's been going for a very long time, but she's new to the case.
All right. Any comments, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor, I think that we'll discuss them on the record as the hearing goes forward. And I think that's all I have to add at this time. Thank you.
Very good. Well, while I have you, it looks like I have 2 reports, one filed August 4th and one filed August 8th. Do you have that's what we have? And they both have different attachments and different things. So are we looking at both of those, or did you want to just handle that with Ms. Beach?
Your Honor, we are going to look at both of them. I had encouraged Ms. Beach to file the late filed attachment just because I felt that there was some pertinent information that the original report was missing. So we apologize for the late filing, but I think it was important for everyone to have that information.
All right. Well, thank you for the clarification. If we need more time on that second filing, I can always do what I have in other cases, which is to allow the counselors, our attorneys, to file any objections or to raise any objections to the new information at the next review if you need to do that. So, but we'll address that as we get there. Let's go to our guardian ad litem for her report. We are on YouTube this morning.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I was able to meet with the 3 younger children at their placement. We appeared virtually this time, but we were able to have a productive Zoom meeting. The children were playing outside and showing me all of their toys. The older 2 boys were, very excited to show me the wiffle balls and bats that they've been playing with. Apparently, they are really into playing baseball, which is fun to hear about. There has been some in-home therapy provided for the minor children, which I think has been good for the oldest, especially. However, I think some disclosures have been made and some he's been speaking about some traumas that have caused some maybe additional behaviors that the placement and the therapists have been working through. They are done with any sort of summer school right now, but they are doing very well there. The oldest is getting ready to enter into kindergarten in a couple of weeks, so I was very excited about going back to school. The middle child is, as always, smiling and happy. Again, excited that he's going to be also going to school as well. He doesn't have as many signs of trauma or behaviors. It's mainly the oldest there, but and then the youngest child, the daughter, she's doing very well. She's trying to keep up with her brothers and growing really quickly. She's meeting all her milestones. She's very comfortable with her placement. All 3 children are very bonded to the placement, especially the aunt in the household. She's, I think, the primary caretaker of the children. But all of their needs are being met, and I would recommend that they remain in that placement pending further order. The oldest child, who was placed with non-respondent mom, I do have concerns with his placement. There is a case open in another county with that mom and the children. However, I'm concerned that his mental health and some physical health issues that are established are not being addressed in his current placement. I also have concerns with whether the utilities are working in the household and some other concerns with respect to how discipline is handled in the house. I am uncertain whether his current placement or his non-respondent parent is in his best interest, and I'm actively exploring next steps or potential next steps in that case for him. So I can't say that where he's currently staying would be in his best interest, but I also don't believe that there is currently any alternative placements or options at this time in the immediate future.
Okay, thank you. Testimony this morning, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. And I'll ask Ms. Beach to be sworn in.
Your Honor, I'd like to make something clear for the record and for the edification of my client. Right now, I guess what we're talking about is not the case that we've been on here for a year or so.
Yes, it's all of the kids.
It's all of them, but also an additional case involving children with a different mother.
Right.
They have been part of the case since the beginning. It's just that that mom has been a non-respondent and is still a non-respondent at this point.
Issues there.
Mr. King, no interruptions.
Ms. Beach, you've prepared or been part of preparing 2 court reports that were submitted for today's hearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And there are several attachments in both of them. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page as it relates to the report that was submitted on August 4th. In addition to the court report and the case service plan, there is a police report relating to Mr. King and Ms. Miller. The medical documentation for some imaging by Mr. King was provided to you. There are safety plans related to the oldest child in the file, and then a prevention plan related to that child's mother's household, and then the DHS 69 noting a caseworker change from Ms. Madrid to Ms. Latour. Is that correct?
The only correction I would have is that the safety plan is for the oldest child shared by both parents and the relative caregiver placement.
Okay.
But the rest is correct.
And then for the report that was submitted, or the additional document submitted at the end of last week, I believe on the 7th or 8th, that police report is related to the non-respondent mother of the oldest child in the file, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then there's some follow-up emails regarding ICWA documentation and searches, and then an additional search for or submission to the Seneca tribes, an IEP report for the middle. Is that the middle child?
Yes, the middle of the 3 younger.
3. Okay, and then the youngest child's early on assessments and IFSP reports, correct?
Correct.
Okay. To either of those court packets, are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to your knowledge?
I have one update to provide on an email that I sent to the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. I did receive an email this morning, right before I came, that they had sent the letters back in January, but they sent them to Hillsdale DHHS, which is why we never got a copy. So she is going to be sending me all 4 letters as soon as possible, and I will file them with the court before our next hearing.
Thank you so much for that. And to the best of your knowledge, do those letters indicate whether there's any eligibility for enrollment in the Cherokee tribe?
They do not indicate any eligibility.
Okay, thank you. Okay, during this review period, how would you describe Mr. King's level of compliance with and benefit from his case service plan?
I would say there has been minimal to very minimal compliance with his case service plan. We still have concerns about his overall stability. He has not been consistently engaged in individual counseling, and the sessions he has attended have been via phone. I spoke with a therapist last week, and she is concerned that he has attended some sessions but doesn't really feel the need to be in therapy. He's just doing the sessions because of this case. And it's also been recommended by his therapist and his psychological evaluation that he participate in a psychiatric assessment, and he has not done so to date. Domestic violence continues to be a concern based on the incident that happened on May 31st, where he had allegedly followed Ms. Miller while she was driving her vehicle and he was in his, and then he approached her vehicle. And then there have been reports that he has continued to attempt contact with Ms. Miller and seek her out when he has seen her out in public. There's also, related to the incident that occurred on May 31st, there was a warrant for his arrest. And I believe he's still facing charges of domestic violence third offense, which are pending. But he was arrested then on July 9th and at the Lenawee County Jail until July 22nd. We also have concerns about housing and employment. Those things have been, we either haven't gotten information about employment throughout this case, or he hasn't been employed. He did just provide proof of disability benefits this morning, but reported that a significant amount of that is being taken out for back child support. So I'm not sure when that child support was supposed to be paid, but I will look into that as well. But overall, we have concerns about his unmet mental health needs and just overall instability. We are still working. He's reported some health concerns throughout the case, and just provided some paperwork this reporting period for some imaging that he had done at a surgery center in Warren, Michigan. So I did get a release sign from him this morning so I can reach out and get a better understanding of what the results that he provided mean, and what treatment looks like for him going forward in that regard.
Has Mr. King been in contact, in regular contact with the agency?
Yes, yeah, he communicates via phone and email.
Okay. Have you had any concerns or issues with getting him to sign appropriate releases?
Not usually. Once they're explained, then he will sign. So that hasn't been an issue.
Okay. The report indicates that he is still not receiving parenting time. And I know your report articulates this very well, but can you just highlight the concerns surrounding parenting time and the risk of harm that would be posed to the children if the court were to order parenting time that be reinstated?
Yes, so parenting time was suspended back on December 20th of 2024. There was a visit that had occurred prior to that hearing where Mr. King was just really accusatory during the visit towards our staff. He was recording, he was talking about the time he had spent in jail from a domestic violence incident with Ms. Miller in front of his children. He was not able to be redirected. He had also made allegations against one of our staff members. We were already providing secondary supervision as an extra layer of protection. And then we also had concerns about the children's behavior following parenting time visits. The relative caregivers were reporting an increase in aggression and toileting accidents, and it was like they were being re-traumatized by parenting time. Then Mr. King did his psychological evaluation on January 24th of this year, and that evaluation recommended that he maintain a period of 6 months of stability and participation in services and follow the recommendations from his assessment. He has not demonstrated that thus far. He also met with Renee Moore for a parenting time assessment, and she did not feel that he was safe to be engaging in parenting time at the time of that assessment either. So that is why parenting time has been suspended since December.
Have any service providers working with the children indicated that they are suffering from the lack of parenting time?
No.
As it relates to the children, are there any, I know this is kind of abnormal because we also get to talk about these kiddos within mom's hearings, but are there any updates that you'd like the court to know about for the kids?
I would just like to verbally give a little update on each. The oldest, DK, continues to be placed with his non-respondent mother, and we do continue to have concerns about that placement. There were several CPS complaints made during the last reporting period, and they were documented within the previous court report that resulted in CPS investigations and a CPS ongoing case being opened. So she has been receiving CPS ongoing services since sometime in May. She did complete Families First, which was just about 1 month long, and that was completed mid-June. And she did appear to make some progress, and home visits have been going better than they were previously. But she has not followed through with another referral for an in-home program. It's Families Together Building Solutions. She did not return contact, and that program closed. And then she still has not gotten DK into mental health services as recommended. He was having suicidal ideations in April and was seen for an intake at Lakeways. And then she did not follow through or return contact, so he was dropped. So he needs to be seen for another intake, and that has not been done at this time. And then in addition, she has had some recent arrests or close calls. So we do have concerns about that placement, and we are working with the ongoing CPS worker to see how we can assist with getting some more stability in the home and making sure that his needs are met. LK, during this reporting period, did disclose some allegations during a therapy session, and those allegations are being investigated by CPS. But since those disclosures, the placement has reported an increase in aggression and rage. She says that he will like flip a switch and like flip a table.
I'm sorry for the interruption. Is this the older or the middle?
The older, okay, thank you. And then she's also reported concerns with sexual behaviors he's perpetrated towards the younger LK. So bedrooms have been changed around. We've put safety plans into place. He's continuing to engage in individual counseling, and I think they're looking at increasing that. And then the family has been engaged in wraparound services, and the wraparound worker reports that they've been very engaged and consistent, and that there's a lot of love in the home, and that the caregiver is committed to putting whatever safeguards need to be put into place to make sure that all children are safe. So the caregiver is also learning new skills to parent him and meet his needs. So that service is definitely being taken advantage of. As far as the younger LK, he's doing very well. He does have a speech delay and has an IEP in place to help him with that delay, and then he will be doing Head Start, I think again, or GSRP in the fall. And then NK also has an IFSP in place for speech delay and is receiving early on services, but overall she's doing well too.
Has Mr. King, to the best of your knowledge, engaged in any additional treatment related to domestic violence or relationship issues?
Not to my knowledge. I know that he has previously, but not during this case.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like the court to know about at this time?
I don't believe so.
As relates to the oldest child in the file, in prior hearings, there have been some concerns about the lack of responsiveness from that mother, the non-respondent mother. You indicated in your testimony that home visits have been better. Can you just articulate how they've been better?
I think less chaotic is maybe the best word to describe it. She has been easier to engage with than she had been prior to the CPS ongoing case getting initiated. That's really the only way I can describe it.
Has she continued to engage with and be responsive to the agency on a regular basis?
There have been times where she hasn't returned contact. Usually when we call her, even if it has to be multiple times, we will get her on the phone. But she also has the ongoing worker who makes regular contact with her. So if we have any issues, we usually reach out to the ongoing worker and ask for assistance, or when the last time she talked to her was. So although it can be a concern, we are usually able to get in touch with her.
All right, and the report indicates that Ms. Adney is still against the her shared child with Mr. King visiting with his younger siblings. Has there been any movement or progress on that point?
So not as far as Ms. Adney goes. I don't know that we've been able to talk about specifically that with her. I'm not sure how the caregiver of the younger 3 children would feel, or how we would feel about it based on allegations being made about the oldest child by the older LK. So if we were looking at initiating sibling visits, it may have to be done in a therapeutic manner, or we'd have to seek some guidance from the service providers involved with the older LK.
And have the service providers brought that up at all in either way, like that the children need to see one another, that sibling relationship was one of resilience and a benefit to them?
They've not.
Okay, thank you. With that, Your Honor, no further questions of Ms. Beach, and would ask the court to accept the court reports with the understanding that fellow counsel can object to the late submitted documents and or question about them at the next hearing.
Objection.
No, I have no objection.
Okay. Thank you. They are received. Questions for this witness, Mr. Brooks?
Now, there are 2 families really involved here, right? The 2 mothers, maybe that's a better way to say it.
Correct.
Same father
Correct.
for all of the kids.
Yes.
How many kids are
There are 4.
there total?
Yes, involved in this case.
How many exist?
Well, DK's mother has 5 other children, but they're not.
They're not his?
No.
So there are 1 child in 1 family and 4 children with the other family?
The oldest child is Mr. King and Miss Adney's, and then the 3 younger children are Mr. King and Miss Miller's.
4 children total?
Correct.
Okay. Do you agree with me that Mr. King is looking into the root causes of his mental issues with professional assistance?
He has not been agreeable to a psychiatric evaluation, which would focus more on mental health, but he has been attempting to figure out medical issues.
Right. That's where this business with the doctors in Warren, Michigan come into play?
Correct.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Underwood?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. May return to your seats. Unless you had any redirect, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
Any other witness testimony today?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks?
You want to testify? Is that a yes? My client would like to testify.
All right, Mr. King, come on up.
Sir, you are apparently out on bail right now. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is the charge?
Unfortunately, it was allegations.
Pardon me?
There were false allegations when I got an email for it.
What are you charged with?
They're trying to say 3rd domestic felony.
And what is the status of that case?
Pushed out to September 19th, and I just hired David Goldstein.
All right. And who is that, again, who is that involving?
They're alleging Kirsten
Last name?
Miller.
Pardon?
Miller.
Yeah, you have to speak up there a little bit.
Sorry.
All right. Now, you said you want to testify here this morning. What is it you want the court to know?
The allegations about the kids, like you said, are from the fire to the frying pan. I had talked to LEAC about a house and they approved it. They would approve more if I had got approval of the kids.
When's the last time you saw him?
December, after the 17th, I believe, when Leslie ripped up on Lincoln and I told her she should have autism training and she didn't like it. So I started recording after that. When she slammed
December of what year?
2024.
Since then, you've had no contact.
Right.
Do you want contact?
I love it.
If we could get you supervised visitation, would you like that?
With a camera, yes. In the room, yes, I love it.
What do you mean with a camera?
Well, because I'm being accused of being accusatory when there was actions involved that a department, entity that took them, she shouldn't have ripped up on Lincoln the way she did and slammed the gate against him like she did. And I'm sure if you ask Lincoln, he'd tell you whether he's 7 years old or not.
Now, with respect to your mental issues, you are actively engaged in trying to get to the root cause of this issue, right?
Correct. Mohammed Elderani would write you a letter after I talked to Narker in Dearborn.
And what have you been told that they suspect is the issue?
A possible mass.
And where?
The center frontal lobe has one on each side and then one in the center.
And based on your conversations with this physician, what do they think should be done about that?
He wanted to wait a year, but we're going to talk on the 19th of this month.
To do what?
Don't know yet until he got back. He'd been gone for 2 months, like I told.
Well, yeah, but I'm asking the question, what does he think he wants to do?
I don't know until I talk to him.
All right. Does this doctor believe there's any causal relationship between what you have testified here before are your mental issues and the presence of these masses on your brain?
No other, the injury might be from the car wreck in 2022.
But I mean, does he think these masses may have had an effect on your personality and your perceived mental problems?
Disorders or so, yes.
Caseworker said you haven't done a psychiatric evaluation. That being the case, the first question I'd ask is, why is that not happening?
Me and Dr. Elderani were going to talk about it and go from there because that's what the doctor had just said, but he wasn't in to talk to me and then he got to talk to me. So he's going to discuss that after the 19th.
Who's Dr. Elderani?
My main primary doctor in Dearborn.
Have you talked to any psychiatrists?
No, not yet, I said.
Have you been actively avoiding that, or?
No, I did my parenting classes and all the crap with my brain after the 15th of May. It's been hard.
But not through a psychiatrist?
No, I haven't had a vehicle for a while either.
Were you given an appointment to see a psychiatrist?
That I cannot remember.
I can't hear you.
I cannot remember.
Where do you live?
Couch to couch at the moment.
Sorry, again?
Couch to couch at the moment.
What general area of the county?
I'm trying to facilitate that.
Well, I mean, do you live in Adrian?
I don't want to post it on YouTube. How about that?
I'm not asking for an address. I'm just asking for a general area.
Between Ohio and the tri-state area.
Between Ohio and the tri-state area?
Yeah, I told my mom wants me to do some things. So.
All right. And that's as specific as you want to get. All right. Is there anything else you want the court to know?
They said I talked to her in the courtroom.
Who?
Out in the hallway.
Who?
Ashley Beach.
All right.
And she knows about, I had a recording of it.
Well, what about it?
Some of the things she said up here are different.
Is there anything more specific you want to bring up about that?
Yeah.
What?
She said they're going to check on my brain or on the doctor, and they didn't know about it yet.
Well, neither do we, do we?
No.
What else?
About the kids.
What about the kids?
I hadn't been told anything about it.
What specifically are you referring to?
Anything about Lincoln and Junior?
Oh. Yeah, have you asked?
Well, I just got a report and that was it. 3 days ago.
Did you want additional information from Ms. Beach?
Would be nice other than just a report right to a court, wouldn't it?
All right.
with the violations already in place.
Is there anything else you'd like the court to know?
If they were to try to terminate my rights, there's ICWA rights they'd be violating. Because there is knowledge of my brother's doing over my mother and my great grandmother, Maud B. Smith, being Indian, us belonging to Viking blood, Bear Jenkins.
Vikings are not Indians. Sir.
Right, but it's still a historical bloodline, correct?
Not under federal law. Viking is just Northern European.
It's under.
A lot of people in this room have Northern European ancestors.
Right, it's under federal law.
Are you claiming that you have Native American heritage?
Right, yes.
And what is the Native American tribe?
I've said, and she said no, that they haven't said anything, but if my brother would avow the information, he's the through that how we would done.
Is it something other than being quote unquote Viking?
Seneca Indian.
Seneca
sure.
Indian.
And Jeff Jones said it was a Cherokee Indian for sure. And as well as Eugene.
Are you asking the department to check into whether or not you have a formal affiliation with the Seneca band?
I'd ask them to check more formally, and obviously if I'm saying it up here, it's true, because I've talked to my brother about it. For me, and he got it from ancestry.com. Sent his bloodline in, obviously. So that's how I found out who his father was. And if you like, my mother's right there.
Is there anything else you'd like this court to know? Well, obviously you object to the fact that you don't have your kids, right?
Right. And it's been informal to them not to help me over the housing way before we ever got homeless because of my issues. And it's informal to just take it and terminate a right if they wanted. You know, because of those issues. I mean, it'd be upheld in Supreme Court justice, I guarantee it.
You and I have explained the legal formalities involved with this, right?
A little bit.
Yeah. I have nothing further unless there's something more you want to tell the court.
I have had the parenting classes up about until May.
Then what happened?
All the issue after the 15th with the diagnosis of the brain, it's been kind of hard.
When did you go to jail?
Oh, July 9th.
When was the incident that involved you being sent to jail?
With the current contact had come from her wanting to see me.
What month?
In May.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Questions for this witness, Ms. Thomas?
Yes, thank you, Honor. Mr. King, did you happen to Google or try to find out what your diagnoses were based on your MRI?
No, that'd be because you guys tried to tell me I had Munchausen syndrome.
Okay. So you're not quite sure what a posterior fossa arachnoid cyst is?
It's a centerline mass is what they were trying to say.
Okay. And then as it relates to—
I got emails from it.
Okay. Just wonder, like, just making sure that you had followed up with your care provider about it.
Correct.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you do not have transportation.
I just got it back recently.
How long were you without a vehicle?
Well, I went to jail, 13 days, obviously. I don't want to discuss everything on YouTube.
How long were you without a vehicle?
For about a month. I had to jump through hoops to get there,
Who posted your bond?
A friend of mine that owns a business.
Online indicates that your bond was $10,000. Your friend posted $10,000 for you?
A bonding company did.
Okay. When you were in jail, were there any issues with your behavior or your mental health?
They were trying to say a lot of kids were screwing with me about other cases that didn't involve me. Guys that they were saying they were running the road for Chuck, and I didn't approve of it because Chucky don't have nothing to do with me.
And you have not completed a psychiatric appointment at all? A psychiatric evaluation?
A doctor, no, not out here yet, but a doctor from Ingham County that had a stroke tried to tell me there was something wrong with me when there was clearly something wrong with him because his face was drooping.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any questions, Ms. Berger? No. Ms. Underwood?
Mr. King, you indicated you hired an attorney for your criminal case. Is that correct? Okay. how were you able to come up with the funds for an attorney for that?
I'm going to object on the grounds it's irrelevant to anything we're dealing with.
I would say it's relevant, the fact, establishing whether he's been able to provide any necessities for the children throughout this case.
Yes, one of the issues in the case services plan is stabilization of housing, income, production. So questions about funding attorney, well, and even fees that may be due to the public defender's office based on your representation, Mr. Brooks. These are all certainly relevant concerns, so I'm going to overrule the objection. So, did you need the question repeated, Mr. King, or are you prepared to answer?
Yes, I did.
How were you able to pay for David Goldstein as your attorney in the criminal case?
It's anonymous.
Sorry?
It's anonymous. You guys are taking money that shouldn't be out of another case upstairs. Obviously, you're paying to have my kids $1,300 or whatever it is a month per kid, but you wouldn't provide when I was sick or prior to being sick for 8 years along this whole case.
So you're stating you're not willing to disclose how your attorney was retained?
Well, somewhat of it, isn't it the way to pay it back because there's going to be more funds coming.
So again, I'm going to ask you a question one last time. Who funded your private attorney for your criminal case?
Why is that your concern?
Judge, I would direct the court to prepare to answer the question.
Mr. King, please answer the question. It is relevant. The court's already determined that it's relevant. Please answer the question.
Just, it ain't all been paid for yet. But it has been down payment.
Paid the down payment.
I did.
Have you provided any clothing, food, funds, or anything for your children since they entered into care?
Kind of hard on $445 a month, and the state took $2,700 back payment right away.
That you're able to pay for an attorney?
They've been, what, they give me $185 back a month. I used to get out of $1,100. That's crazy.
Are you employed?
No.
Do you think your children should be returned to your care right now?
Before last year happened in November.
Sorry, I'm asking you a question. Can you just please answer the question that I asked?
I'm trying.
So it's a yes or no question. Do you think the children should be returned to your care right now?
At the moment, no, but as the issues are worked out, yes.
So you currently are unable to take care of your children?
Because of the issues that were not taken care of by the government for 8 years over my health.
No further questions.
Any redirect, Mr. Brooks?
Well, we've gotten into an area that we haven't talked about today, certainly many times in the past. You have made arrangements to have a mobile home placed on a site somewhere out in the southern tier of counties, right?
Yes, now that my mother moved to Friendship Place.
And there had been a roadblock due to township authorities giving you a building permit. Is that correct?
Yes, I make a meeting with him tomorrow.
And that is being addressed even as we speak, right?
Yes, $200 he finally spit it out. I don't understand it, but I will.
Well, my point I want to make is the roadblock, which has been something you and I have talked about many times, may be removed fairly quickly now, right?
A couple of the issues, like I said in May, they tried to say it was a roadblock, could have been alleged to the Hoffa disappearance. I don't understand.
My point is, it appears that things are now, the road is now open for you to get a building permit and to have a place for your kids to stay. Is that right?
It should have been 8 months, 10 months ago.
Is the question I asked accurate?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Any recross, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Berger, Ms. Underwood?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat, Mr. King. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Mr. Brooks?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Underwood?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Well, I would just remind all of our attorneys that today was also set for a permanency planning hearing. So I would ask you to articulate any position or argument that you may have on that piece as well as you head into closing comments, beginning with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the department, by way of the court report, is asking for a goal change for the kids, for the 3 younger ones to be adoption. And then for the oldest child, we would still be looking at placement with his non-respondent mother. Mr. King has failed to make any significant progress in his case service plan throughout the last 7 or 8 months that he has been under this court's jurisdiction and ordered into his case service plan. A lot of what we hear is really nonsensical and does not make a ton of sense. I think it's more of a reflection in which we've had court reports and the psychological evaluation about his mental health, and it's just not adequately being addressed. I can understand that there may be some physiological concerns as well that could potentially explain some of this. But the issue we have in these cases is that the children are in limbo waiting permanency and stability for their lives. And it seems that at least the 3 younger ones, particularly the 2 older of the 3, are making some progress in their healing from the significant trauma that they've been exposed to while in the care of their respondent parents. And oftentimes we will see regression in behavior as they're sorting that out and healing through that And I want to commend again to the relative caregiver for sticking by their side, providing some stability and ensuring that all of their needs are being met. We have significant concerns about the oldest child being with a non-respondent mother. Unfortunately, our counterparts in a different county do not share those same concerns. However, I would just like to note for the record that that is not a reflection of our private agency's position. And we are limited to policy, or limited by policy, I should say, and we fully support any decision that the LGAL and or his court-appointed attorney make moving forward to ensure his safety and well-being. So at this time, Your Honor, we are requesting that goal change. I do have a draft of the termination petitions in front of me that I just simply need to review, and we would intend that our next review hearing would be a termination hearing as well. And with that, Your Honor, we are also asking the continuation of the suspension of parenting time, given that lack of progress, and these issues have been outstanding since the onset of the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments, Mr. Brooks?
I'm going to assume that when the council says that she's going to be filing a petition for termination, we're talking about for 4 children, not 3. The oldest one is included in that petition. A petition where the mother of that child, who has that child, has not even been named as a respondent. A petition where my client has been barred from even seeing that child for a very long time. And I think that that particular aspect of any petition for termination of parental rights is wrong.
Mr. King, you'll need to refrain from interrupting your own attorney, please. Thank you.
Is wrong and should not even be considered by the court, let alone granted. Now, with respect to the younger 3, who I'm very familiar with, my client is, from the beginning, I've told him his first problem is the question of where are you going to live? It's still a problem today, but it sounds like that issue may be on its way to being resolved fairly shortly. The second issue is we all have heard about Mr. King's mental problems. I think that a lot of light can be shown on these issues from the terms of medicine and not psychiatric terms. He acknowledges he has. The question is why? And I have just, Mr. King, at my urging, has just signed a release of information before this hearing started so that the department can contact the doctors who are looking at the specific issues which he believes specifically cause the issues which are of concern to this court. So I would like to see what they have to say about that and what their medical opinion is as to the issues involved and what the prognosis is. And then if things aren't going, don't say anything of any concrete nature. I think then it is an appropriate time to file a motion for termination of parental rights if they still choose to do it.
Thank you. Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. I unfortunately have not been able to have contact with my client. I've tried calling the number provided for his mother by the department, by the guardian ad litem. I sent contact letters to an address in Jackson, but I've not heard anything back. I have been able to conference with the guardian ad litem regarding his wishes. And at this time, because the parent which he is resigning is not a respondent, there's not much I'm able to do. I can advocate on his behalf through this case, and I still believe it to be in his best interest to not be having contact with the respondent parent in this case. However, I do think that it's imperative that he be subjected to services and that he get the care and attention that he needs, even though he is with a non-responding parent. So I will continue to reach out to him through his mother. I was hoping he would be here today so I could chat with him. And if I'm unable to do so, then I will file a motion with the court requiring that parent to maybe bring him here or bring him to my office. That way I can speak to him before the next hearing. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood.
Your Honor, throughout the entirety of this case, Mr. King has done nothing but blame everybody else for his problems and has taken no accountability for anything in this case. While I understand and sympathize with the fact that he may have some medical issues, again, after receiving a copy of the medical documentation that he provided himself, doing a little bit of research just shows that, again, the type of cyst that he has, again, is often only found when doing MRI imaging, and the vast majority of the time, those cysts are benign. And if there's issues, none of the symptoms tend to lean toward mental health. It's more towards lack of coordination or issues with hearing and vision. There's been a blatant disregard for any of the services that are requested of him, and very little progress, really no progress with his mental health. That is my primary concern here when it comes to these children. Mr. King himself has indicated that he has mental health issues that he understands need to be addressed, but again, I think it seems to me as though he is dodging the real issues while on a search to find some other type of diagnosis or what's been going on. The children are young and they deserve stability and permanency. The 3 youngest are getting that where they're placed. They are able to have love and guidance, a roof over their heads, regularly go to school, get dental work, extensive dental work. They're in services that they weren't in before, and they're thriving when before they were living in a tent in the cold and not really receiving the care that they needed. I believe that it would be appropriate at this time for a goal change. I think it's in all of the children's best interest, including the oldest child's best interest, that termination petition be filed. Again, there's been no progress made by Mr. King, and only excuses and or the blame placed on everyone but himself when it comes to the situation that he's been put in. Along with the fact that there's an outstanding case for a felony domestic. Again, that was one of the primary concerns when this case started, and it's still a primary concern moving forward. So I would ask that the court formally change the goal to termination for Mr. King, with the petition being filed and heard at the next review hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review hearing. The placement of the children in all 4 cases at the current time is the safest and least restrictive under the circumstances, although I will signal again to the department and to our guardian ad litem as it relates to the oldest child. They're very interested in additional information in the possibility of adding the mother of that child in as a respondent, and we're looking for alternative placement for him based on even the small amount of information I have contained in this report, as well as the information that I've seen in past reports. So I'll ask both the department and our guardian ad litem and our attorneys to do that. I'm going to include in the order as it relates to that child that Ms. Addy is to cooperate with securing and following treatment recommendations, including that in-home therapy programming, counseling for that child, and cooperation with both the guardian ad litem and the attorney appointed for that child, or she may face contempt. That child is still under the jurisdiction of this court, and I would look for the department to continue to give me that information and to look at alternative placement for him due to Ms. Adney's continued refusal to allow services or supports that are obviously necessary for this child. As it relates to the youngest 3, those 3 are doing well in placement. There are clearly some significant challenges that are rearing their heads in the placement, and that's understandable given the really complicated trauma history of these 3 children. I agree with the placement comments that it's quite heartbreaking as it relates to what the 5-year-old child is exhibiting and the challenges that he continues to face. His mental health and the mental health of the other 2 children are clearly still at risk. If there's any parenting time, there's been no change in the circumstances of either parent at this point. But today we specifically look at Mr. King's progress. It does not appear that there's been progress in the area of housing, sustainable income that's directed towards stabilizing himself or providing for the children. There's no significant move towards addressing mental health issues or the domestic violence dynamics in the relationship between him and mother of the child. We now have further indications of the lack of parenting skills that were being exhibited during the time that the children were in the care of their parents, including, of course, Mr. King. Those allegations of Mr. King blowing smoke into the child's face, causing headaches, and some of the other issues continue to come up during counseling and some of the other service provider reports that we're seeing. And his behaviors continue to be very difficult to manage. So I'm certainly not going to subject him or the other 2 to the risks associated with parenting time that were very clearly articulated by Ms. Beach again today on the record. So that order suspending parenting time will remain in full force in effect. Given the lack of progress in any area on the case services plan, I'm going to order that the goal is changed to adoption, and that the next report period may be also accompanied by any filings, and we'll have the hearing on any petition to terminate parental rights in conjunction with our next review and permanency plan hearing, which will be held on November 10th, 2025 at 10:30 in the morning. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today. Thank you. I'll have the order out shortly. Sure.